live stream audience, cameras right there. Remember, say what's up to the people because there's about 60, 70 of them on camera watching with us now. We're always late. My apologies. I'm going to blame my cameraman for this one, even though it wasn't his fault. But again, thank you to all my sponsors. Big shout out to Blacker Pockets, Earn Your Leisure, Sabine the Purpose Lawyer, Franco Law Firm, and I want to bring one of my sponsors here, Nadira from Diamond Mine Realty. I don't know if you guys can see her information down here below, but I'm going to bring her on. If you watch Rants and Gems episode 3, I believe it was, she was speaking about the NACA home loan program. Somebody got to turn that down. So I'm going to bring Nadira to the stage and let her talk about what she can do for you guys here in New York. So Nadira, talk your talk, give her a round of applause.
Hello everybody, my name is Nadira Taylor and I'm the principal broker at Diamond Mine Real Estate. We specialize in residential sales and property management. We represent buyers, a lot of buyers. We represent sellers and we also represent investors. We also just started a construction management team for those who want to do investments. However, they're working and they need someone to manage the project. You can reach me on Instagram at Diamond, like the stone, mine, M-I-N-E-R-E, or you can follow us on Facebook, same, and you can also go to our website, www.diamondminere.com. Thank you so much.
Wait, hold on. I got a question before you get on. Talk about NACA a little bit. Because people always ask me questions about NACA, especially since your episode. Okay. So talk about your success with NACA, especially since we have a live audience.
All right. I am the NACA queen, especially on the East Coast. We've had a lot of success. I do monthly seminars at my church out in Jamaica, Queens. We close on about maybe 4 to 5 NACA deals per month. And over the last 2 years, we've closed on over 30 NACA deals. Feel free to DM me, inbox me. I sit on the NACA board. I have a great relationship with the Newark team, and I think NACA is a great deal. However, my guy Matt here, he started talking about 100% financing as well. So I think I'm also going to be dubbed the MG queen also. But feel free to hit me up regarding NACA, excellent program. You're able to buy your interest rates down. And whoever NACA doesn't work for them, hit me up and I'll plug you in over here for MG. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you, Nadira. So listen, first things first, let's start with mindset. Everybody always comes to me, Matt, where do you start? How do you look to go buy your first home? Blah, 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 right? The first place you want to start is with your mindset because home ownership can be a bitch. And now this is not PG, so I hope you guys are not offended. If you follow me, you know I cuss a lot. So it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. But your mindset has to be there first and foremost. There's a lot that comes to buying a home. You got, especially if you're looking to buy rental properties, you want to have tenant issues, you want to have court, all types of foolishness that can come up. Even if you're buying a single family home, there's always something that's going to come up. So first things first, what I tell people, you always have to start with your mindset. You got to mentally prepare for home ownership because it's not all glitz and glamour like everybody out here in the internet world will tell you. So mindset is the first things first. Now, as far as your documents, now wait, let me rewind first before I start going on. For my live stream people, after every segment, my girl Alex, you on my YouTube or your YouTube?
My YouTube.
What's your YouTube name?
I'm going to say hello.
Okay. Alex is about to say hello. So if you have any questions, Alex is going to answer them. After every segment, we're going to do Q&A. So and Alex will probably answer your questions in the comments too as they're coming along, just so we can speed things along and not be here all night. So first things first, when you're preparing for a home, always start with your budget. I mean, I think that's clear with everybody should know that. Know exactly how much money you have, how much money you're willing to spend, and most importantly, how much can you afford on a monthly basis. There's a big difference between being approved for a loan and being able to afford that home. When an underwriter looks at your loan or looks at your profile, we're looking at your gross income to qualify, all right? You live your life on your net income. So if you're making $10,000 a month gross, we're using that to qualify, but remember, $10,000 a month gross is probably like $6,000 a month. But if you have a $4,000 $5,000 worth of monthly expenses with your new mortgage, you really can't afford that. You may afford it on paper to the lender to get pre-approved or approved for financing. Large deposits, be mindful of what you deposit. You don't want to keep moving money in and out. Choose an account. The best thing I can tell you, anybody, when you're looking to buy a home, pick a designated account that's going to be savings for the home, because most people want to have money from here, from there, and there, and you may not think, because some people just got weird ways of paying their bills, right, and how they live their life, and it's not like they're making millions of dollars. They make regular income, but they got 18 different accounts. But those 18 different accounts, you're causing more of a paper trail, more of a headache for yourself. So one of the best tips that I can give you, choose one account, whether it's your Chase, it's your Bank of America, whatever it is. Choose one account, keep your money in there, save in there, so that way when it's time for you to get approved for financing, you're not seeing all these large deposits. Maybe when you do your direct deposits, split 50% into one account and the other 50% into the other accounts. That way you don't see all these transactions, because what happens is people deposit cash. You can't use cash. People using susus. Everybody, which is today. And you're planning on using your American Express cash advance, $10,000, $20,000 for the deposit. You can't use that because it's unsecured, right? That money from American Express will have to be sitting in your account since May or June. You want to have at least 30 days seasoning of that money in account. So if you know you're going to do cash advances, you know you're going to pull personal loans, anything like that. People using business credit right now. I'm sure all you guys on the internet, so you see people selling business credit. You can use it to buy homes. When you're going into the conventional financing world, all of that is considered unsecured debt. So you have to put it in your account and let it sit there. And yes, you're going to have to pay interest on that money. You're going to have to pay it back. But let it sit in your account, so that way when it gets to the conventional financing underwriting team, that way you can use the money with no problems. You got that? Now, also, what other documents need? Copy of ID. Very simple. Now, if you're self-employed, right, or 1099, self-employed or 1099, you're going to need last 2 years of your tax returns. Now, if you filed an extension for 2018 taxes, they're not due until October, I believe 15th is the due date. We're going to need 16 and 17, right? All schedules. If you have an S Corp, we're going to need to see the K1, so we're going to have to see all the schedules, all the K1s for if you're self-employed. But that's only if you're self-employed or 1099 with tax returns. And then we're going to use a 2-year average for your income. Also, we're going to need a P&L. Y'all know what a P&L is? No. A P&L is profit and loss. So it doesn't have to be an audited profit and loss, meaning your CPA sent it to the IRS and said that this is what you're making year to date. A P&L acts like your pay stub for underwriters, so that way we can see exactly where you guys stand year to date, excuse me, with your business. So that's the pay stub, quote unquote, for a self-employed person who doesn't pay themselves a W-2. So that P&L is unaudited, so you can basically tell an underwriter, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You can tell an underwriter you made $1 million year to date. Doesn't mean that they're gonna use that income to help you qualify. They're still gonna go off the 2-year average based off of your tax returns, but at least it gives them an idea of where you stand with your business, and you're not gonna decline in income. But you can create that or make that P&L, or your CPA can make that P&L. So that's pretty much the documents, the initial documentation that you need to have available before you go out and you get yourself pre-approved for a home loan. Anybody got any questions about that, about documents? So everybody has W-2, right? Go ahead.
I am self-employed. I don't mind here or there. But when you say that you need 2 years of tax returns for self-employed, what if that business just started less than a year? Or not, I don't have 2 years of self-employment.
But you'll have experience in the field?
Yeah.
Don't matter. So with underwriting, you need a 2-year work history. So if you go from, like you said, how long you been in business for?
Well, for myself, just since November last year.
November 2018.
2018, yeah.
Right? So you're less than 1 year. So are you in the same line of work? Were you doing this as a W-2 employee before you got self-employed?
Yeah, Kind
Kinda,
of,
sorta.
yeah. Close,
So-
very close.
So once you decided to go leave your W-2 and go full-fledged self-employed, you just started your clock over again. It's a 2-year work history requirement. So you don't really want to switch. Like if you know you want to buy a house and you want to quit your job and you want to do your own business, you probably want to wait until you get your house first and then go self-employed, because you just started your clock over. So right now, unless you were to go ahead and get a job like immediately and be on W-2, then you would have to wait 2 full years to use your self-employed income. Unless you were going some investment property, 25% down and putting it in your LLC, but that's a completely different conversation from tonight.
What if you have both W-2 and 1099?
Good question. So if you got W-2 and 1099 now, have they both been, is it from the same job or two different jobs? Have you been at both jobs for 2 years?
Yeah.
So then you're fine. So as long as you're reporting that 1099 income on your taxes for the last 2 years, so now 1099, remember, you're not paying no taxes during the course of the year. You pay it at the end of the year. So you may make $100K 1099, but you may tell Uncle Sam you only made negative 10,000. So that way you don't have to pay taxes, or you broke even. So now if you made 100 and you broke even, so your bottom line is 0, then it's no income.
Okay.
Right? We can only use the W-2 income, not the 1099. So you want to show that you have some sort of income from your 1099 or from your business, because that's the income that we're using to qualify. We don't go on 1099 or self-employed. We don't go off the gross. I can't tell you guys how many times people come up to me and say I make $1 million or I make 300,000, and you look at your taxes, it's negative 300, because they're only looking at the sales or the gross sales and receipts or whatever the case may be, but they're not looking at their bottom line, like number 27, which shows how much did the business make after all expenses. And that's all we care about, is your net income. So, but you have 2 years, you should be fine. You gotta show the income, especially if that 1099 income is greater than your W-2 income and you're really counting on that to qualify.
No, it's less.
It's less?
Yeah.
Then, I mean, you'll probably break even then. But show a little bit, so that way every penny counts. You know what I'm saying? Any questions about this? Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, my issue was the bank thing. So I got about
The
three,
what?
the bank issue. I got
Okay.
3 different accounts. And the account that I'm using for the down payment, I'm actually taking money from another account and putting cash into that account, saving it monthly.
Cash is the devil. Cash is the devil. You don't ever want to do cash in my world, because we can't source cash. You know, where's the cash coming from? Because if you keep putting, let's just say $5,000 a month into account, all cash, where the hell is all this money coming from? Remember, there's so many money laundering laws. Banks are all regulated. Banks are over-regulated since the crash. So we have to account, especially all this terrorist activity throughout the world, with all these rules and regulations, we have to really account for, the government makes us account for everything. So if you keep putting in cash and cash and cash, honestly, we gotta report that. And they may not tell you that they're reporting it, but there's forms that we have to fill out if you keep depositing it, and we see a pattern of this, because the government is all in our business. So cash is the devil, cash is not king. You wanna make sure that you're not putting cash into your account. You gotta figure out a different way, and when we get off of camera, I can probably talk to you about that. Go ahead.
So that's what I was gonna ask you. If you're already in Susu right now.
I touched phone with that one.
So like, what do you do? What's your option?
Get your money. There's nothing you can do. You're in too deep already. Get your money, right? Susus are great. How much you getting? 60, 80, 100? Susus are great. But you get the Susu money, let it sit for 2 months. Once it's there, let it sit, and then you good. Then you go ahead and now apply. Because remember, when you sign a contract, we need 2 months of bank statements. Especially when you go ahead and sign a contract, we need to see the 2 months prior to when you sign. So we're gonna need June and July if you sign August 1st. So if your Susu hit June, then what? You're gonna see a large deposit of 60, 80, or 100 from your Susu, and you're depending on that to use for your transaction. Underwriter's gonna see that and say, what is this? And you can't say Susu, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. So you probably gonna have to wait till September to get into contract, and then now that money is source and season. Same thing with cash. I was gonna say off camera, but you know, it is what it is. Let it sit before you go ahead and do any transaction. 2 months, but remember, have a designated account.
Gotcha.
What about money transfers from the bank account?
From whose bank account?
Yours, from one account to
It's
another.
traceable. So,
Okay.
but again, that's what I was trying to allude to earlier. When you start moving money all around now, let's just say you have so many cash deposits in B of A, right? And now you pull into your Chase account, and that's the one you want to use for the transaction. But now we're seeing all these transfers. Now we're going to say account number, you know, it says account number transfer from here. Now we're going to say, where's these accounts?
They want to see that account.
Now we're
too.
going to see those accounts. And now if we see you doing large cash deposits, 5,000, 10,000, and now you're transferring that money over to the Chase account, now we're going to say, wait a minute, this was all cash, so now we can't even use this money.
Alright.
People use mattress money too. When you go sign your contracts, there's a lot of people using their mattress money, right? They're going to attorney like, I'm going to go to the bank, get a check, blah, blah, blah. We have to document where that money came from. We have to get the bank statement showing that that money that the seller's attorney cashed your deposit check. So if that was cash, guess what? We can't use that no more. So now we got to say, listen, you need to come up with a new down payment check because that money is no longer is voided out. Now that has killed deals because people and realtors or whoever just didn't know to educate, or the buyers just didn't tell the lender ahead of time, so that way we can have this conversation and tell you what to do. But that has killed a lot of deals, and sellers don't be happy because sellers don't care. They just want their money, they want to sign a contract and go. But ultimately, if you're using cash for your deposit, can't use that. Everything has to be documented. The name of conventional financing game is completely different from hard money. It's completely different from asset-based lending when you're using LLCs. Everything is documentation, documentation, documentation. If you put something on a loan application, can you document what you're saying? We was having a conversation earlier about the recession and the wild cowboy days, right? I told you guys, over a nice cup of water, right? That you can't have, back in the day, you can get 100% financing with no job with a 520 FICO score. That's why the market crashed and that's why the recession hit home, because people were walking away. Now, you can't do that. Everything has to be documented. Everything has to be traced back to something. So you have to make sure that if you're dealing with cash and dealing with cash businesses, please, 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 be smart about how you're moving your money around.
So as long,
Right.
so as long as it's traceable, you good then.
As long as you can document it, right? So like, I have people that will, for whatever reason, they just like to have cash in their house, right? So they'll take their money, they'll deposit their checks and everything, and they'll say, oh, I'm gonna withdraw $2,000, and they put it in a shoebox, because they don't trust the banks, right? And then now you can see the pattern of them taking out that money at $2,000 every single month. But then now they deposit, let's just say it was 10 months and $2,000, that's $20,000, right? Now you see a large deposit of 20 grand. But as long as we can document over the last 10 months, they've been saving this $2,000 at home under their mattress, and underwriter can see one transaction, not 500 here, 200 here. You know what I'm saying? 2,000 one clip, consistently coming out. Now we have a fighting case to use that money because we can show underwriting that this is just their weird saving pattern that they have because they don't trust the banks, and we have to do what's called the letter of explanation. Because remember, listen, the underwriter's job is to decline you. Period, point blank. I don't care what nobody tell you. The banking people probably ain't gonna like me for saying that. But an underwriter's job is to decline you. A loan officer's job is to convince an underwriter why they should give you $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So they don't know you. They only see black and white and guidelines. I see people. They see loan numbers. It's a difference. So you got to give them as least ammunition as possible to decline you. You got to make your transaction as clean as possible. And the biggest problem that I see people are having is in the bank statements. That is the biggest issue. People have weird things they do. And even if you're making large transactions, 5,000, 10,000, underwriters can question that too. Like, what the hell are you doing with your money? You know what I'm saying? So like, just be mindful of your bank statements, how you're collecting your money, how you're using your money. The best advice, get a separate account, call it the home account. Do a direct deposit from your paycheck or something like that. Let that money go there. Don't be bothered with it. And if you need gift money, make sure whoever you're getting the gift from, they don't have, you can't give the person your mattress money, they deposit it, and then give it to you. That won't work. We have to see if they're giving you $10,000 as a gift, we have to see that $10,000 in their account. And we have to see the money coming from their account into your account. So, go ahead.
What about if you have like investment account, like let's say TD Ameritrade,
Okay.
and you have stocks, but you have cash in the account? Can you use that money and transfer it to your account, or just leave it in the investment account? Because can we just wire that amount to?
Good question. So you can use 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, pensions, whatever the case may be, to use that to fund your real estate transaction. The company who's managing the account, they're going to want to see certain information from you: loan application, loan estimate, contract for sale, to see exactly how much money you need for the transaction. And then they'll wire you or send you a check. More than likely, they'll probably send you a check. And then once you get that check, you have to deposit it. We have to see the statement, the updated bank statement of you depositing that money. But then also we have to see let's just say it's 401k, right? We have to see the statement prior to you taking out that money, and then also the statement after. And then in some cases, we may need to see the terms and conditions. It's depending on what loan program that we do. We may have to see the terms and conditions of that withdrawal. Was it a loan? Do you have a monthly payment? Or is it a hardship withdrawal? So just keep the paperwork just in case an underwriter requests to see it. Some underwriters, most of them now really don't ask for it, but I always tell people just keep it just in case an underwriter asks for it. But yes, you can use, that's your money. And the IRS doesn't penalize you if you're buying property with it, or your primary residence, I should say.
Yeah, they give you a limit of the 401k.
Yeah, it's like if you have 100K, they're not gonna let you pull out 100K
No, they're not.
out of it. You'll probably pull like 50 or 60,000. Usually it's around 60 to 65% that they'll let you pull out of it.
What if it's for your pension? So you have a frozen pension that you want to use,
Mhm.
but there's not much in there. Is there a limit that you can use, a certain percentage that you can use?
We don't limit you. We don't care if you zero the account out. It's the pension company who's probably gonna have a problem with that, because they're probably using your money to invest into other things, and they don't want you to pull all that money out.
It's a penalty.
Or they're gonna probably give you a penalty or something like that. So you gotta really check with them and see what the rules and regulations. Always check with the people who are managing the Fidelities of the world, or if you work with the state, call up the state pension people. See exactly what their rules and regulations are prior to you even going out to looking for a house. Because if you're dependent on that money, which is great because you saved it, it's yours, you earned it, just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Because some people be thinking they have X, Y, and Z amount of dollars, and they call up pension people and they can't even get nothing. So, because they have too many loans out already, because people borrow from their accounts like it's, I don't know, like it's their own bank, and they'll have 2 or 3 loans, and it's like, hey, you don't have no money. You already tapped out. And they think they have money, but they don't, because they don't know how to read their statements.
So being that I have W-2 and 1099, I have 2 separate accounts for direct deposit going into each. Do I need to show both of those accounts?
If you're using those accounts for your funds, yeah.
Okay.
So if you have W-2 going to Chase and 1099 going to TD, let's just say, and you only want to use TD, that's where the main bulk of the money, just show TD.
I got
The
you.
least you show me, the better. Right? The least you show underwriting, the better. People want to show their whole goddamn life story. Like, we don't want all of that. Trust me, the processor doesn't want to see it. The underwriter really doesn't want to see it, because the underwriter probably has 101 files, and then they're like, damn, I got to do all this work. They're human too. You know what I'm saying? So the least amount of paperwork that you can present and still qualify and get the loan, the better. So many people want to give their whole damn life story, and then they get mad when we're questioning everything they're giving us, and it's just like, listen, this is you. You got to get your stuff together from the beginning.
But why don't they question it? Say, for instance, you have 2 separate accounts, and you're only given one account that has the bulk of the funds. Aren't they going to question, so where are your living expenses? How are you, if
No,
you're not pulling
I'm
from
glad
that?
you asked that. No.
Okay.
There's a difference between what? Being approved for a loan and being able to afford a loan, right? The bank don't give a goddamn about your daycare, your car insurance, your utilities. The bank doesn't give a goddamn about your child care, the kid gotta go to camp. No one cares. We don't care. The bank doesn't care. We go off the gross income. When you really think about that, it's kind of crazy that we qualify people off the gross income, but if we qualify off the net, no one will buy a home. Because Uncle Sam is taking 30 to 40% depending on your income level, and you will have no money to buy a home, and then banks will be out of business, and then we'll be living like in some third world country right now. You know what I'm saying? This country is built on debt. That's the God's honest truth. So no, they don't care about that stuff. But you have to care about that. That's why I opened this up and said there's a big difference between being eligible for a loan and being able to afford a loan. Because when I sit with someone, or Ben near Alex sits with someone, we want to know everything about that person. We want to know, what are you doing with your money? We look at your accounts to see like, oh, is this going on? Like, damn, this person can't really afford this. You know, it's not fun when you hear somebody go through foreclosure. And that's why if you follow me, I always say, like, I be saying things like this, but I don't think people really understand what I'm saying. Like, buying a house is great, but if you can't really afford the house, and that's why I say you got to start with your mindset. Like, you got to really know, only you guys know exactly what you're paying every single month, what your obligations are, what that child is going to cost you. Are you out in the movies every Friday night when you should have just went on Tuesday at AMC when it's $5? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same movie. That's why I go Tuesdays AMC, right? Because I'm cheap, right? So are you buying Gucci and Louis when you should be in Walmart and Target? They got good clothes too, right? I got a Target shirt on now. I love it. I only wear polo when I need to, right? So you got to really figure out what's your priorities in life. You know, but no, the bank doesn't care. Underwriters don't require that. Like, oh, let me see your utility bills.
But you go through it with
Depends.
potential clients.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I ain't gonna hold you up. Sometimes I ain't got time to go through all of that. I got 100 people in my DM mad at me because I ain't returned their call. Or people wanting to get loans to get pre-approved. Like, we're moving and shaking. Look, she got a bad back and still pre-approving people. She's back there doing something too. Right? This is what we do all day. So sometimes you're not going to go through everything that you need to go through, but ultimately it's your responsibility. You have to, because look, in the Wild Cowboy days, right? Pre the crash. Anytime you hear me say Wild Cowboy days, I'm talking about pre-2008. We didn't give a goddamn about nothing. The banks didn't care, loan officers didn't care, realtors didn't care, no one cared about nothing. Everybody just lending money, buying houses. It is what it is. Now the consumer educated. Home buying seminars back in the day, forget about it. You didn't see none. There was no home buying seminars in 2002, and if there was, I didn't see it because there was no Instagram. So like now the information is out there for everyone. There's things like, look, I got cameras up here. Like, what the hell is going on? Right? The information is out here now for everybody to be responsible. Everybody needs to be an adult. You know what you're paying. You know if you can afford something or not. It doesn't matter if you can get a loan. You just got to be mentally right, and your mindset has to be right and be responsible, because it's a bitch at times. Right? Credit. All right, so let's get into credit. Live stream questions? No? Yes? Maybe? They be quiet? Okay, good. Let's get into credit.
Oh, gift funds, are they gonna be taxed?
Speak to your CPA. If you gift funds,
Speak to the camera.
listen, gift funds. Speak to your CPA. Hit up Miss Business 101. Hit her up. She can talk to you about taxes and gift funds. I ain't getting into that. That ain't my expertise. Anything else? Good. Credit. FHA requires a minimum of a 580 credit score. FHA 203K is 600 credit score. Conventional loans, 620 credit score. Credit is one of the most important factors, everything. People, listen, your credit score don't mean jack to me. People hear me all the time. I got an 800 credit score. How much can I get approved for? What's my rate? I don't know. We care about one thing and one thing only. DTI, debt to income ratio. We look, the credit score is just one factor of the credit report. But we're looking at what are your monthly minimum payments and how have you been paying that debt? You have student loans. If your student loans are deferred, FHA requires you use 1% of that balance as your payment. A couple years ago, if your student loans were deferred past 12 months after closing, then we would just exclude that debt from your liability. They changed the law a couple years ago because the government knew what was gonna happen, right? Student loans, we all see it in the news, student loans is gonna be the next big crash, right? So now you deferring all the student loans, you're not counting that payment into their debt to income ratio. Now people are buying all these homes, and now when those student payments come due, they can't afford, they're gonna have to pick what they can pay, student loan or mortgage. So people, the government made us change our laws, so now we have, if they're deferred, we have to use 1% of that balance. So if it's $100,000 student loan balance and it's deferred, we're using $1,000 as your payment. Now, a lot of you college people, I'm a dropout, so thank God I don't have your issues, right? Thank you, Lord, for letting me be a dropout. But if you're not a dropout and you have this student debt, you better off getting into some type of income-based repayment plan and just making the payment. Because 9 times out of 10, that payment, that fully amortized payment will be a lot less than what we're going to use as our calculation, and that's going to help you qualify for the loan. So student loans are not the devil, but they can be the devil, because I've seen it. Because some people just don't want to get out of the deferment. I'm like, yo, you graduated 30 years ago. Like, why are you not paying your debt? Well, they're going to come out with a law, they say they're going to forgive it, and this, that, and third. Well, you can't get the house now because you owe $400,000 in student loans, and that's $4,000 a month. And then they just don't understand, like, you better off just paying it, or get into some sort of IBR, income-based repayment plan. That way you don't have to worry about it. Collections. I get this all the time. People always want to know, should they pay their collections? If you made the debt, pay your goddamn bills. Period, point blank. Settle with them. These people will settle pennies on a dollar. It's not that serious. You ran up your MasterCard. Why are you not trying to pay it? What are you disputing? It was yours. Pay it. Negotiate it down. They would take pennies on a dollar. Medical collections, I see that all the time. You got to figure out, because sometimes it's hard to find these people. So you're going to have to figure out. And if they're small, you may get away with an underwriter, may not require no payment. But if it's like a couple $1,000s, they're going to want to see something like repossessions for that. You're like, oh, my thing was charged off. I'm like, listen, it's still shown on your credit report that you owe $20,000. Well, it's charged off. I shouldn't owe nothing. No, you owe something. Well, I'm working with credit repair. They said they can delete it. I don't know about that, right? Only thing I'm telling you, get into some sort of payment arrangement. Figure it out. Try to pay it off and call it a day. So that way it doesn't hinder you from going to the next level. Foreclosures, since we're speaking about credit, you have bankruptcies. I believe it's like 2. What is it? You know, offhand? I don't know offhand. Bankruptcy is what, 2 years or 3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
4 years for a conventional.
What?
4 for conventional.
See, they know this shit. I don't be knowing. 4 years for conventional and bankruptcy, 3 years for FHA. Right?
And it depends what chapter.
Go ahead, talk your shit.
If it's a chapter 11, you have to wait 7 years.
For conventional. There you go. Yeah, I heard that. What else? What else should I talk about on credit? Since you talking a lot right
Short, well, these are all new home buyers, but if it's a short sale, you have to wait a few years too.
now. How many years, Bendy?
4 years.
Short sales. You got a short sale, 4 years also. But you guys are first time home buyers, but that won't go to you. But just in case you were signed on somebody's home or something like that, because that happened a lot back in the day, 4 years, then you claim it. And once you hit that seasoning period, you're done. You got questions?
Just to take it out of like credit cards and stuff, isn't there like a minimum time frame that you have to wait before applying for a home? Like not to use your credit? I've heard that before.
Well, with credit, listen, if you know you're gonna buy a house within the next 4 months, you want to kind of do a freeze on applying, because when you're doing credit cards or car loans, they're gonna keep running it, and that's gonna bring your score down. If you're getting pre-approved for a mortgage, you want to shop for that mortgage within 2 to 3 weeks. And if you want to go to different lenders, because the credit bureaus recognize that people shop, so your credit scores won't be impacted. But if you're using like your MasterCard or American Express or something just as your daily thing, just use it, pay it off how you normally do it. But just remember, if your balances keep going up, then your credit score can drop. Your credit report, when we pull it, is only good for 4 months. So if you get pre-approved, what I try to tell people, make sure you want to close within 4 months, because for us to update that pre-approval letter, then we have to re-pull your credit, update your pay stubs, update your bank statements. And in most cases, we won't do that Because if you're still not ready after 4 months, like, I'd rather you wait until you get ready and we still keep in contact versus us putting another hard inquiry on your credit report.
So that's what I was gonna ask you. So is 4 months a sufficient time to get approved, find a place, and close?
Yeah, if you're aggressive, hell yeah. I mean, we've had people do that all within 60 days. It just really depends on, you know, people always ask me that same question, how long does it take, right? It's on you. Because once you get us the documents that we mentioned earlier, and we figure out what's the best strategy and plan for you, now it's on you. Now the ball is in your court, it's not on us. It's on you and your realtor to find something. And if you find something and we can close within that 4 months, then great. But let's just say you find something in 90 days. Now you have 30 days left before you have to close. But let's just say the closing is not for 60 days. We're gonna have to repull your credit. Because we're gonna have to update it, right? Because we can't close with an expired credit report. So you just gotta make sure you've been managing your credit. You know, don't open new trade lines. Don't co-sign for nobody. Please, God, don't co-sign for nobody.
Did that before.
Your cousin want to go to college and they need your help. Sorry, cousin, you need to go somewhere else because I can't help you because that student loan debt now is going to bring down your scores. And now, remember, that student loan will show that it's deferred, even though you're not the one going to college. It still goes to your debt to income ratio. You know, don't do anything extra with your credit when you know you're going to buy a home. Just if you're using your everyday credit cards, that's fine. That's fine.
I have a question about student loans. What if you're still in school and you're trying to go after a house?
Are you working?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So you
Like I
just...
said, like I'm going for my master's right now, so
Okay.
I'm still in school, so some of them in deferment.
Oh, then
So-
we're going to use the 1%.
Okay.
We're going to use the 1% calculation. So the bank doesn't care if you're still in school. I think it's dope that you get your master's. Great. Bank doesn't care. It's deferred. Only thing they look at the credit report and see deferred, deferred, deferred. 1%, 1%, 1%. That's all we care about. And when you're in school, you can't get into no income-based payment program. So that can definitely impact you in a negative way depending on how much income you're actually bringing in.
Okay.
But it's not a bad thing. Congratulations. Finish up. Go ahead.
How much for a first-time home buyer should they save for this whole process?
How much should they save?
Should save. I know that with the FHA is 3%, and also for the closing. Like, what is the ideal amount that they should have for everything?
All right, so FHA is 3.5% down payment. Conventional can be 3 to 5% down payment. VA can be up to 100%. Closing costs is typically around 4 to 5% of the loan amount. I tell everybody to go with the 5% number. It's always best to go worst case scenario versus the best case scenario. Always plan for the worst. So that's 8.5% right there. If you're buying a 3 or 4 unit multi-property, owner-occupied multi-family property, you need to have 3 months of reserves. The reserves is your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. All right, the monthly payments of the tax and insurance. We call it PITI in our world, but your mortgage payment. So if your mortgage payment is $3,000, you need $9,000 post-closing. It could be in the form of a retirement account, you know, it can be in your stocks, bonds, whatever. But you need to have, but if you don't have that, then you need to have that money liquid in your bank account. So on top of that, if you're buying a multifamily, on top of that 8.5% for down payment and closing costs, you need that 3 months of reserves, only if you're buying a 3 or 4 family unit. Now, I'm a fan of the more money the better. You know, too many people go into buying homes and they have not a pot to piss in. They're house rich and cash poor. The boiler can break. If you buy a multifamily, the tenant doesn't have to pay. You know, many things can happen. So I think you should always have more than 3 months of reserves, just so you're comfortable. God forbid anything happens, because life happens, you know, life happens. So I say ideally, if you can have 10%, 11% of the total sales price, which in New York it could be a substantial amount of money, but I think that's what you should have. But there's a lot of people out here, there's a lot of programs out here where you don't need it. You can get grants, you know, but the grants are kind of hard to get qualified for depending on your income. But if you can get the grants, then why not? But still, you should have that money, because now you use the free money, so to speak, and you still have your money at your reserve. So, always have a cushion. Like I said, always have a cushion. It's always good to have more than to have less. Got that?
Except when it comes to cash.
Except for cash. But now, if you got your mattress money, then you're good.
Right.
So it's still cash, but you should have it in your bank account earning some type of interest. You can't earn no interest in your mattress. So, the more the money, the better. But again, it's New York, it's New Jersey, it can get expensive. There's a lot of people out here that buy homes that really just have down payment. You can get a seller's concession. Now with FHA, the max seller's concession is 6% of the sales price. With conventional, if you're putting down 5%, let's just say, the max is 3% of the sales price. And that's only if the seller agrees to pay or give you a seller's concession. Now, here's the thing. Let's get into appraisals, right? If you're getting a seller's concession, the house has to appraise for that extra amount. So let's just use easy numbers here. If you're buying a home for $100,000 and you're looking for a 6% seller's concession, that's $6,000. The house now has to appraise for $106,000 in order for you to get that seller's concession. The seller will still net the $100K, but now that 6K, your down payment is based off that higher amount, the 106, not the 100, and that 6K is being financed. Most people ask me, well, Matt, if I'm financing it, why the hell does the seller care? Sellers care. They just care. I don't know why. They just care. Maybe you can answer that question. You know what? Come on up here. Because you're a realtor and you deal with this shit all day long, right? Why the hell do sellers care if someone's getting a seller's concession or not? Come on, camera girl. Come on. You're already here. We need to know. Why do sellers care if a buyer is getting a seller's concession or not?
Because the $6,000 still goes on their end. Even though they're giving it back to you, they're still getting $106,000.
And they're getting taxed on that?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So that's why they care. Unfortunately, sellers care about a whole bunch of stuff that they shouldn't care about, or as the buyer you feel that they shouldn't. But you have to think about it too. For most people, these are the home, they've been in a home for 20 years, they care about their memories. They care about the home that they raised their family in. Another thing to tell you guys too, if you walk into someone's house and you're like, I don't really like this bathroom. I don't really like this kitchen. I don't like how they did the walls. That seller's not selling their home, especially if they've raised their family there. Sellers care about a lot of stuff.
Damn, I never thought about that.
A lot.
You see us buyers, we don't give a fuck, right? We go after dogs. Fuck you, guys and shit.
I've seen it happen. And then when you get outside and you're going over your finances, that's the best house for you. And now you want to put an offer in, but the seller remembered you. The seller remembered how you walked through, you halfway didn't say hi.
Come in camera, girl. Come in camera. You guys get these gems for the camera.
The seller remembered how you went in there, you didn't say hi, how you looked at the kids. The seller remembers all of that. When you start going in there, I don't care if you do. If you want to make it an open floor plan, you want to knock down walls. Once you walk in and you see pictures of generations on the wall, you do not walk in there and say, I'm going to knock down this wall, I'm going to redo this, and I'm going to redo that, especially if you want the home. A lot of older homes, you do need to do renovations to it, but they don't see that. They see that, little John and Pookie and the rest of them, they swung on the tree, they see their knee on the front step, and that's what they see, and they want to give it to someone that they feel will take care of the house the same way that they would. So if that's a house that you want, just walk in there, smell, make sure to speak, and tell them how much you like the house. But don't walk through there telling them what they're going to do, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and all that other stuff.
All right,
so how does that play into the FHA 203K loan though? Because you have to get a contract to come and look at the house.
Well, when you do the inspection, usually homeowners they'll leave for the inspection, but their broker will be there. If the homeowner's there, they know that things are wrong with the house. But it's different from having a contractor telling you that you have to replace a chimney liner and repoint brick on a chimney and you might need a new boiler. Like, they knew that. That's why they're selling it. Either they downgrading, they can't keep up with the house no more, or they doing something. Those are the things that they know. But while you're in there, you're just pointing stuff out to your contractor. Make sure to give me a price on taking this down, doing that, whatever. But you're not yelling through the thing like, I want to take down all of this here. Like, that's not what you're going to do if you really want the house. Because remember, the house isn't yours until contracts are countersigned. You can sign contracts, that does not mean that house is yours. They still have to countersign. So whatever impression you make on them, then that's the impression that they're going to go with. The house is not yours until contracts are countersigned. And even with that, something else can happen. If you while you're signing contract, you still make a bad impression. But however, something's wrong with your bank, or something's wrong with your pay stubs, or something's wrong with your credit report, and now you need to go for an extension. They can decline your extension because now they no longer like you. You get what I'm saying? The house isn't yours. It's about 75% yours until contracts are countersigned. But even with that, something can happen, and the seller can still walk away from the deal.
I like that. So, all right, hold on, stay here. So,
I didn't think I was speaking.
well, oh wow, shit happens, right? So, new buyers, they get an appraisal, right? What should they know about that appraisal process from a realtor's perspective? Like, how are you prepping all these first-time home buyers for the appraisal?
Okay, so most of your agents should have already pulled comps. We're in a seller's market, unfortunately. So in order for you to get the home, sometimes you have to bid higher than what the house is listed for in order for you to get it. If you have a good seller's agent, I've had seller's agent come to me and say, you know what, I really liked your offer, but I'm scared that the house won't appraise for that value. Let's just go with what we asked for, and we'll work it out from there. Or sometimes you'll have people that accept the $20,000 over, knowing that the house isn't going to appraise for that. So unless your lawyer puts in a clause in your contract, it's called an appraisal contingency clause that says that if the house doesn't appraise, you can walk away because the bank isn't going to give you any more than what the house appraises for.
Correct.
However, some people just have to have that home. So if the house appraises for $5,000 less, most people will pay that extra amount. However, if the house appraises for $25,000 less, now you need to renegotiate. I think a good attorney will put $5,000 to $10,000 in a contingency. I mean, if you really want it, you'll pay it. But anything over that, I wouldn't suggest to do.
I like that. So now, sticking with appraisals, right? In seller's concessions, the house has to appraise. That's the most key important. So like she said, comps. Comps are your best friends. Don't go and put in offers and you know that the house is going to appraise and you know you need a seller's concession. You got to put in a realistic offer.
But your agent should pull that for you.
But the agent should definitely pull that for you, but a lot of agents don't do it, unfortunately. So with the technology that's available to all of us, you can easily pull up and see what the home sales are. Don't look at the Zestimate because that's really not going to give you an accurate number. Just look at the home sales, and that can give you an idea, but you need a good realtor that can really pull everything for you because the appraisal is the most important piece besides title, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the appraisal is the most important part of the piece, the collateral. If the collateral is not there, it's not there. Now, being in New York, right? Mm-hmm. What have you seen that has blown up the appraisals when the appraiser comes out? So there's two types of appraisals: subject to and as is.
Right.
As is appraisal means you went into contract for $400,000. It came in for $400,000. As is, no repairs are needed. If it's subject to repairs, then that means there's repairs that need to be done, right? Now, you being a realtor, what have you seen on your end as things that need to be repaired in the home that make the appraisal subject to repairs?
Boilers, the roof, even your insurance is based on the roof. Your insurance company will Google and look down at the roof and say, you know what, you have a higher insurance rate because your roof is damaged, your roof looks old. So all of these things help with the appraisal. You can have a house in the middle of the block that's newly done over and went for $550,000. Just because your house is next door to it does not mean that your house is now worth $550,000 because you need another $100,000 worth of repairs. So what the appraiser come in and say, they'll look at all of that. They even look at the names of the appliances. They look at serial numbers. They look to see how much your appliances cost. Appraisers look at everything. If everything's in there new, then people know, developers know, okay, I know that this is going to bump it up. If your house is older, it's not going to appraise.
Also, with FHA, if you have peel and paint in the house, if there's no handrails on steps, that's a big no-no for FHA. FHA, that will automatically, what you said?
And the windows have to all be able to open and close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially if you have a basement, right? Mm-hmm. If you have basement, sometimes you see to have the bars on the basement windows. Those bars, you have to, it's safety hazard if it doesn't have a latch where you can open it. So those bars have to be removed, or there has to be a latch put onto it. So those are some of the things you need to look at when you're going to look at a home to see, especially FHA, peel and paint, anything health and safety with FHA, they're real stickler on that, and they will require that these repairs need to be done prior to close, because no bank can close if you have a subject to repairs appraisal. Only rehab loans, because all rehab loan appraisals are subject to repairs, because obviously you're doing a rehab loan.
How is your bank with exposed asbestos? Because now I'm starting to see a lot of banks
that's health and safety. And asbestos, especially in the tri-state area, these homes are old, they have asbestos, right? They're gonna want that. If you see termite issues, right? If they're visible termite issues, that's health and safety. I've seen mold in homes, and you can see like the wet ceilings where there's a leak. The appraisers are not blind. They're coming in there to look for problems, because you gotta look at it. Appraiser gets paid for a single family like $525. If he makes that appraisal subject to repairs, guess what he has to do? He has to go back out. So now that's another $200 fee that he can collect by coming out. So you have to make sure when you're looking at these homes, if you notice these things, you automatically should, if you know the seller's not going to pay for it, because some sellers don't care, as is, you take it or leave it, you automatically got to think rehab loan now. Because the seller ain't going to repair it, and the bank is going to say, listen, somebody got to repair it or you're not going to get a loan.
Exactly.
So appraisals is collateral, besides credit, is one of the most important thing, because we're lending money based off of a piece of property. We have to make sure that property meets all the guidelines. Condos, another thing, right? Condos have to be FHA approved. FHA just passed all these new laws. I don't know when it comes into effect, probably within the next month or so. Now they're going to start doing more condos for FHA, which is a great thing for the condo market. Everybody was looking for a condo. But if it's not FHA approved, then you can't get an FHA loan there, so you're going to have to go conventional. Now, you have some condos that can't even get conventional financing because they're called non-warrantable condos. And non-warrantable condos basically means that Fannie Mae, you guys know what Fannie Mae is? Fannie Mae, so you all heard of a conventional loan, right? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are government-sponsored entities, GSEs. They buy loans from all the banks, right? They buy all conventional loans. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac makes all the guidelines that all the banks follow to buy conventional loans. Now, if that condo doesn't meet Fannie Mae guidelines to get approved for financing, then you have to do what's called the non-warrantable condo financing deal, which is basically, in my word, like a portfolio loan, meaning we can't sell it to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. It may require a large down payment. Because now the bank can't sell that money, they have to keep that money on their books.
But not only that, I used to manage condos and co-ops. That's my background, property management. A lot of the bylaws stipulate who can buy in. When I say who can buy in, meaning what type of loans are allowed to purchase into the condos and into the co-ops. So that's why you see newer condos, you're able to do FHA.
Yeah.
However, if they don't change the bylaws to the older condos, then you aren't able to do that.
Then you're not able to do it. So the newer ones will have it, because most condo developers, depending on your price point, New York is just ridiculous with the condos and the prices. But if you're like in down south or something, where it's like first time home buyer friendly in those markets, the condos they're following FHA guidelines from the very beginning, because they want that pool of buyers. So up north, it's extremely difficult. There's probably really a handful of condos that are approved for FHA loans here. So anytime you think condos, you automatically think in co-op. So just remember, even if you're going for a condo or a co-op, that project has to be approved. So you can be approved for a loan, everything could be great with you guys, but if that condominium project is not approved, if they don't have the right amount in reserves, if they have bad finances, because we look at all of that information when we're underwriting that condominium project, they can be shit. So if you're looking at a condo, just make sure you ask the realtor, how's the financing? Is the building able to get financed? You ask frequently asked questions, right? That's a frequently asked question if you're looking for condos or co-op. Can you get financing in this building? Because the realtors will tell you flat out, no, this is all cash, or you can only get financing if you put 25% down. So that's a good frequently asked question. Any
Co-op,
questions?
co-op's definitely.
Co-ops is a pain in the ass, but I love them. They're affordable in New York, right?
About reserves, so if you take out the 2 or 3K, right, and the contractor says it won't be done for 4 to 6 months, you have to have that amount of money, 4 to 6 months of reserves?
If it's a multifamily,
Yeah.
all right. So if you have a 2 or 3K loan, right, and if you're doing a gut rehab or the house, you can't live in the house during the rehab. We can finance the mortgage payments into the construction work. So let's just say if it's going to take 4 months, like you said, 4 months of payment is 10 grand, for example. As long as the contractor and the HUD consultant states that it can't be livable and we need to finance the mortgage payments, then you have that mortgage payment reserve and you don't have to make a mortgage payment out of your pocket, right? But if you're buying a 3 or 4 unit, you still have to have 3 months of reserves post-closing, although for the first 4 months you may not have to make a mortgage payment. So you still gotta have it. But that's a great feature with the 203K is that, and the Fannie Mae home style, is that you're able to finance your mortgage payments into the construction bid as long as the contractor and the HUD consultant state that you can't live in there. That's the only way.
So now, if you're doing the 203K, and your house you find is 350,000, and it needs 150,000 in rehab, so is your down payment and everything still based off of 500 now, or the 350?
350, because that money is being put on top of it. So a job like that, it's like we have what's called like a FHA worksheet, 2 or 3K worksheet, and it'll kind of break down exactly once we put in all the scope of the work, how much the down payment will be, but it'll be off the 350. All right. But again, if you're pre-approved or approved for 500K and you find something for 300K, yeah, you essentially have 200K available worth of work, only if the comps support that. The ARV, the after renovated value or the after rehab value. That's the most important thing when you're doing a 2 or 3K, is you gotta look for those comps. All right? You want a 2 or 3K.
Yes, that's what I want.
So-
I want to talk about it. What we want to list about that.
But
So with the ARV, who determines? Because you said as long as the comps support that.
the comps determine it.
So should your agent be well versed in it so that they'll be able to kind of guide you if you're not well versed in it?
Yeah, your agent should be able to pull up comps. It's the same thing as you buying a house and you're not doing a 2 or 3K. You want to know if they're selling a house for 500K, the homes in the area support a 500K value first and foremost. What are the homes selling for? Now you find a piece of shit house in that same neighborhood where everything's selling for 500 and you find something for 350, great. You already know. You have your built-in comps right there. So you just got to make sure that you can get approved for that high amount, and then you're good. And you can get the rehab. But another thing with the rehab, remember, you don't get 100. Let's just say you need 150K. You're not getting 150K at closing. So your contractor's the second most important piece of that loan is because the contractor has to be in financial position to start that job, because you're only going to get 10%, probably 10 days or so after closing of that job. And if that 15K, for example, is not enough for them to complete phase 1, then that contractor is going to have to come out of pocket. And then they're going to have to call for the HUD consultant to do an inspection. And then the consultant do the inspection and make sure, let's just say the first phase was kitchen, right? They'll say, okay, the kitchen, all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, bless you. And then now they'll go back to the bank and say, okay, release $30,000 for the first draw. And then the contractor gets reimbursed his money. And it goes on like that until the job is complete. So the contractor has to be in position with any conventional FHA rehab loan to complete that job with their own money, because they're going to get reimbursed. That's why I always say 2 or 3K is like training wheels for first-time investors, because if you go into the hard money world, the hard money lenders don't care who's coming up with the money. They're just not going to give you no money, right? So who's going to pay for this job? Who's going to start it? It's either you or the contractor. So once you get into serious investment, you need to make sure you're liquid once you go that route, because you got to pay for your work to get done and then get reimbursed.
do you control the design for the rehab?
Yeah, it's your house.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't give a damn.
If you want to go a little higher end, is there?
Bro, as long as you are not building a swimming pool, you know, there's certain luxury items with a 2 or 3K, swimming pools, fire pits. You know, you can't be trying to build like a house like Floyd Mayweather will want. You know what I'm saying?
Remember,
Like,
it has to appraise. It has to appraise for that area. Don't try to pour all your money into it and then it doesn't appraise because then you're screwed. And it won't approve. The project won't be approved. So it has to approve it has to appraise. That's the main thing.
comps, right? But if the comps support it, you can't be having like a grotto, fire pits, you know, you can't be doing any of that stuff. But yeah, for the most part, you can do conversions with 2 or 3Ks. You can go from a 1 family to 2 family to 3 family to 4 family. You can't go 4, 3, 2, 1, like taking a 4 family and convert it to a 1 family with a 2 or 3K, but you could take a 1 family and convert it to a 4 family, as long as the area and everything is zoned. But now when you start doing stuff like that, you gotta remember, you have 6 months to complete your job. So now you have permits that you have to get. New York permits is not friendly. That's gonna take 90 days, maybe more. So now you only have 2 months to get your job done. So you gotta be mindful when you're doing a 2 or 3K, what you're really looking to do, because you may not have enough time to do everything you wanna do. Like I have people right now that's still waiting for permits 3 months later. Like, Jersey too. Jersey, you ain't safe. You may got lower taxes, but you ain't safe.
If you waiting that long for the permit, do your credit and everything get pulled again?
No, because
Or
that's
you already
all.
passed
That all happens
That's
post closing.
Okay.
That's all post closing, right? So, permit filing for, unless you find a seller that is willing to file for the permits while you're going through the process of about to close or whatever, and that's very rare because no seller. Why would they do that? You don't own the house yet, right? So now they got to put the permits in their name. They got to put it out there. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do that unless it's a family member or a friend and you got a nice relationship with them. Other than that, your permits are all going to happen post-closing.
Speaking of zones, is opportunity zone something that's really valuable or pertains to first-time home buyers, or is that more for investments?
That's a good question. Yes and no. So the opportunity, are you guys familiar with opportunity zones?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, I heard.
All right. So y'all taking me way off topic. Fucking people. Get distracted and shit. All right. So opportunity zones, right? It's a law that part of the Tax Credit Act that happened, I think, 2017, something like that. I got a whole video behind this. But basically, making a long story short, not trying to confuse anybody. It's if you're selling real property or anything that you can get taxed on capital gains in the year of 2019, you can put those funds that you would get taxed on capital gains into an opportunity zone fund. Have you guys ever heard of a 1031 exchange? So an opportunity zone fund is basically a 1031 exchange on steroids. A 1031 exchange you can only use for real estate. An opportunity zone fund, you can invest into real estate, you can invest into a business, but it has to be, that business or that real estate has to be in a designated opportunity zone area, right? So like Jamaica, Queens, opportunity zone area, right? So the investors and the people who are selling real estate or whatever, they put their money, their proceeds into the fund, they're the ones who want to see the real tax benefit in 7 to 10 years because they're going to decrease the capital gains taxes on that initial money that they put into that fund. Now, if they keep that money in the fund or invested into that opportunity zone area for 10 years, then the profit that they make, so let's just say easy numbers, 100K they put into the OZ fund, they buy a piece of real estate for 200,000, let's just say, they get a 100K loan, they sell it for $2 million, right? That $1.9 million is now tax-free. And they save 15% on that 100K that they originally sold now. So the real play, the real benefit is for the investors who have real capital to put into these OZ funds right now. Now, you guys as home buyers, if you purchase your property in the OZ area, where you know billions of dollars and millions of dollars are being invested because these investors happen to invest there. And the one thing about the law is that if you buy real property, you can't buy Class A properties, right? Fully rehab properties that don't need no work. You gotta buy properties that need rehab because they have to renovate. The whole purpose of it is to revitalize the communities, the businesses in these areas, right? So you know people are buying properties. Look, if you go down Merrick Boulevard right here, you start seeing all this construction that's starting to happen, all these little storefronts. Now they're starting to go up because in New York it's all about air rights. There's no more land. So if you start paying attention, you start seeing condos or rising up, or you start seeing mixed-use properties that may have a storefront and then 2 apartments. Now you're starting to see them things are going up now. That's all OZ because there's all opportunity zone areas. So if you buy homes in those areas, yeah, you can win if the homes continue to appreciate. That's the only way you win, but you don't win off the tax benefit.
Can you use a 203K to purchase in the OZ?
Yeah. There's no restriction on where in America you can use a 203K. You can use it anywhere in America. It doesn't matter. OZ Fund, the Hood, gentrified area, it don't matter. Suburbs, it doesn't matter. FHA doesn't care about that.
Do credit unions give you the 203 loan as well?
9 times out of 10, no. Credit unions are not into rehab exotic programs. They play it safe. Their boards and their members don't like exotic mortgages. That's why during the Wild Cowboy days, you didn't really hear about credit unions going out of business like that. They always play this safe. They always be conservative. They won't give you FHA max debt to income ratio is 56.99%. They won't give you that. They'll give you 42%. But that's why most people say if you go to a credit union, you're going to get approved for a lot less than you would for a mortgage banker, because we follow directly with the government guidelines they give us. The credit unions are a lot more conservative. So no. But you'll probably get a good rate at a credit union.
Do contractors tend to shy away from 203K loans?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Contractors hate 203K loans for the most part because contractors are contractors. Contractors want their money up front because some of them just don't want it. They're lazy. You know, they want to know they're getting paid. They want to hustle you. But the smart contractors will take 203Ks because they know they can put a little bit premium on what they're selling you because they know they're going to get guaranteed money. They know you don't have no money. That's why you're using the 203K. So the job that'll cost $25,000 now is $32,500 because now they're putting a premium because now they got to lay out that money. But they know it's guaranteed money. So there are contractors that love 203Ks because they're liquid. They have it. And they understand the process, and they know they're going to get their money back. But the mom and pops, if you're doing 203K, you can't get a mom and pop. You just don't want to waste your time because that mom and pop is just going to give you agita and heartache and the heartburn. It's not going to be worth it. They may be cheaper, but it's not going to be worth it for the 203K loan process.
So you have to look for a 203K contractor.
There's really no such thing as a quote-unquote 203K contractor. I don't know why contractors don't market themselves like that who are doing it. They'll probably get a lot more business. But you just have to ask the question, a frequent asked question. Do you have experience working with a 203K loan? Yes, you do. Do you have references? Right? That's something that we're going to check out anyway when you're doing a 203K loan. Their references. Okay, can I speak to them? Because the bank is going to ask for it anyway, so I would like to speak to them also to see how your work is, right? If you have done 203Ks, what's the biggest job you have done, right? Because if they say, oh, there's two levels of 203K. You have a 203K streamline, you have a 203K standard. The 203K streamlines when you get $35,000 or less in repairs. When you go above $35,000 repairs, it's called a standard or a full 203K, and that's when you need to get the HUD consultant. The HUD consultant is basically your construction project manager. They protect you and the bank to make sure the contractor is doing everything that they said they was going to do, and they the one who go out to inspect for every draw and come back to us to release the money to the contractor. So these are questions that you should definitely ask any contractor if you're doing any type of rehab loan. I don't care if it's Fannie Mae, home style, 203K, hard money. Ask them what is their level of experience with working with these loans. And if they are experienced with with 203K, make sure they understand how they get paid. Do you understand that you have to front the money for the job and then you get reimbursed? You have to be very clear, because they'll just say yeah because they want the job. But I've seen a lot of nightmares with 203K, so you gotta make sure that they completely understand what's going on with the 203Ks. Great product. I love 203Ks. We do a lot of them, but it could be a pain in the ass if you're a contractor. And we have one client right now. Shit, it took her like 6 months to find a contractor. Yeah, this is the never-ending 203K. I think it's been going on 9 months now. How long is this deal, Alex? 9 months?
I got pregnant and gave birth.
No, that's serious. She had a baby. She got pregnant and had a baby.
Wow.
Yo, how old is she now?
6 months.
That's longer than, that's almost a year then. Damn, we had
Over a
that
year.
long.
Still in her?
Yeah, she
And
had
it's
a
still in
contractor.
close.
It took her a while to get one contractor. Then he deaded us, like stopped responding to us.
He just vanished.
Yeah, he
He
vanished out of
vanished.
nowhere. Cause some of them, like they on paper they look good, but then when you start asking them for things, they don't have them, and we can't lend money if you don't have certain requirements. As a
What's the
contractor.
requirements for 203K for a contract, Alex?
Insurance, liability up to $500,000, or if the project is bigger than that, it can go up to 1.5 million in insurance. 3 years of licensing experience from the state. Those are the 2 requirements for a contractor. If the project is going to be a 203K full, you'll need a consultant, which is another. He's like the project manager for the project.
It's not a lot if they have it, but that's why you can't use mom and pop.
Who puts the bill for this project manager?
You do.
Okay.
Of course you
But
do.
that's what I was gonna say. Who manages or who's on top of this
So-
contractor to make sure that they're doing what they need to do?
Well, you are, and then you also have the HUD consultant also, but the HUD consultant is not gonna sit there and hold your hand through everything. So you're gonna be the one managing your own project. The HUD consultant is to make sure that the contractor is doing what they said they were gonna do. Period, point blank. They're not there to manage your job, but they require a fee. You know, if you're doing a big job like $100,000 or more, it's gonna be $1,000. You can pay half in the beginning, and then the second half gets paid at closing. But they're just there to make sure all T's are crossed, I's are dotted before the bank releases money. If you need to fire the contractor, the HUD consultant is the one that you have to get the new contractor's paperwork in, give it to the consultant, then he has to give it to the construction draw team at the bank. It's a little bit of a mess, but people get fired every day, you know. So that HUD consultant is there to really kind of get. They're the training wheels, basically. But other than that, you manage your own project.
So they're kind of somewhat of a mentor for rehabs.
Basically. And the HUD consultant is very important. So we only work with HUD consultants that understand construction, right? Because you have guys, I know plenty of guys that just go get certified to be a HUD consultant. You're like, yo, man, I'm a HUD consultant. Send me business. You don't know shit. Like, tell me one thing about construction that I don't know. And they don't know anything, right? So those guys, you just don't want to hire them. You need someone who's well-versed in construction. And there's a lot of HUD consultants that understand construction, they understand the cost of things, and they're your ally, they're your friend. They're here to make sure you don't get beat over your head.
Do you pick them or they get assigned to you?
I usually, if it's New York, I'm gonna tell you use my guy. It's your choice to use him or not, but pick your poison.
And they'll do Jersey?
He won't do Jersey, but I got a good Jersey guy too. Yeah.
So going back to your client who took forever to find the contractors, couldn't you guys provide some suggestions? Why did it take her so long to find?
Good question. Because my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. I'm not doing that. And that's just me personally.
So if the person inquired, did she inquire? Did she?
Yeah, she did. And I told her
And
the
you
same
like,
thing I
no?
told you. I'm
No.
sorry. Because you know why? Contractors, when you give somebody a referral, right? Like if I refer Nadira, if I refer Ashley, I know what they're gonna do.
Right.
It's predictable. You see how she just coming in and out?
Right.
Why you think she here? Because I know she ain't gonna say no stupid shit. Right? Like, let's be real. A contract, I give you a contract and now he fuck your shit up and now you're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, yo, Matt, your guy, and then people always think when you refer people, they always think it's like some white envelope thing going on, right? Like, if I refer Nadira, they think Nadira giving me a check in the back end, right? People are crazy like that. And it's not that. She's never asked me for a dime. I never asked her for a dime. We just do business. But contractor, for whatever reason, I don't know. They always think something, especially if you get another estimate, and now that estimate is cheaper than yours, then they automatically think, yo, Matt, what's going on? Why you got to charge me $10,000 more? You getting that $10,000? Nah, chill. Nah, I don't need those headaches in my life, and I'd rather not be bothered. I'm just being honest.
And I appreciate the honesty. It just seems like even when people talk about investments, like contractors could be nightmares. But I'm like, how do you then find what works, you know, or who works best?
Trial and error, baby.
Trial and error.
Trial and error. Welcome to the dark side. Welcome to Real Estate 101. Real Estate 101. This is real estate, man. This is the dark side. This is the jungle, man. You're either going to be the impala by the river or a wild African dog. Pick one.
Wild African dog. Wild African dog.
You really love that YouTube, the IG page.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So you can't be an impala. Don't be the prey. Be the predator.
Listen,
fire people quick.
I think one thing, if you're going to do a 2 or 3K loan, as just from the day you start looking at properties that are 2 or 3K properties that are going to need renovation, you should be interviewing contractors.
Agree.
And my tip to you, because I did this personally for me, the day when you're having contractors come to the house to give you a bid, make all the appointments the same time, like 10, 15 minutes apart. Let them see that there's competition for the job. So they'll come out, you know, more realistic, I feel. That's what I did when I did it.
That's
and
a
I found
good tip.
it
Good
was
tip.
That's a hell of a tip.
Gems from Bendy.
Put it on your life.
Bendy with the gems.
Bendy with the gems, right? She's been here for a while. But yeah, but we're not referring you to no contractor. Okay. But all that being said, you're on your own, sweetheart. I got my own pride of wild African dogs to look after. You gotta look after your own.
So is it best to look at turnkey properties then, if you don't want to deal with the contractors?
Pick your poison. You know, you gotta pick your poison. You gotta figure out what works for you at the end of the day. Some people want to go through, they want the experience, right? Go for it. Some people want turnkey. Great. Turnkey properties are awesome, right? Especially if you buy a multifamily. One, when you close on a turnkey property, you have rental income. So at closing, you're going to get the security deposits back. So if it's $5,000 worth of security deposits, you get all that money back at closing because the previous owner can't keep that. So that's probably 50% of your down payment right there. Remember, depending on when you close, say if I close you today, August 15th, when do you think your first payment is due?
2 months later.
What day?
The 15th.
Nope, your first payment is due October 1st. October 1st. So now you have prorated rent from the next 15 days of August, and you have the rent from all of September. That's probably all your down payment back, right? Before you even made one mortgage payment, and then you still got October 1st, your mortgage payment, you still got rent coming in. So turnkey properties are not bad. You're going to pay closer to retail with turnkey. So again, you got to pick your poison of what you think is best for you and how you guys feel about that. I can't tell you that. I can only tell you if you're going to be a monkey, be a gorilla. I like animals.
So as an expert, what would you say besides the 203K program? Because since you've been talking about so much, I know that you kind of like that. Which one of the programs out there you think is best for a first-time buyer besides the 203K?
Whatever works for you. Everyone in here has different DNA, different fingerprints. I don't know what's works best for you because what works best for you won't work best for him. Or it won't work best for stars. I always call you by your IG name.
I know.
You're stars to me. You're not your real name. But everybody has a different vibe, a different flow, a different goal. So you gotta do what's best for you, and that's why it's important to get pre-approved before you even look at a house. Don't even look at no homes before you get pre-approved, before you know exactly what you can afford, what you can afford, number one, and then number two, what the bank will give you. So that way you can figure out what's the best route to go. It may be FHA for you, but it may be conventional for you, right? It may be 2 or 3K for you, but it may be turnkey for you and you. I don't know.
So you can't use a 2K on turnkey.
Yeah, you can use it to a repair. What panel, you know, basements, you know, ring tiles,
Popcorn ceiling.
popcorn ceilings, that's all cosmetic work, 40, 50, 60,000 maybe at max. It's not a distressed property, it's in a beautiful suburb neighborhood with white fences and green grass. But you can still use a 203K for that.
How long is the pre-approval good for?
4 months. The pre-approval is good as 4 months because it's the same time as the credit. So once your credit expires, the pre-approval technically expires.
And that's nationwide?
What?
4 months?
4 months,
Well,
yeah.
There's a difference from here to New Jersey.
No, the credit rules apply. So everything I'm talking to you guys about tonight applies for any lender that you're going to that offers whatever product we're talking about. I'm not telling you about Flagstar, and I even hate saying the name of my shit, but I'm not telling you about the bank that I work for, Flagstar's programs. I'm telling you general information about these products and these programs, and then you can figure, I'm not telling you, hey, you have to use Matthew to do your loan. I'm just giving you information.
But it's a hard pull again if it's after the 4 months, correct?
Correct. And that's why I say, whoever you're gonna go to, listen, I'm not gonna say I don't believe in shopping around for the best mortgage, but honestly, this shit is like Mr. Softy. It's only vanilla and chocolate. There's not like, the Wild Cowboy days, I'm fat too, so I talk about food and animals. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It's a fat boy to me, right? But it's not like Baskin Robbins, right? Baskin Robbins in the Wild Cowboy days, 31 flavors, exotic mortgages, you got fucking cookies and cream, all types of shit back in the day. Now it's vanilla and chocolate. Maybe somebody got sprinkles. But we all got the same. Like the credit unions, they ain't got nothing. They just got like ice cream sandwiches. They got waffle cones, they ain't got nothing, right? But it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. So for me, when someone says, yo, I want to shop you around and I want to compare you, go ahead, knock yourself out. You're just wasting your time. Because what are you going to be? I'm going to be at 3.8, they're going to be at 3.7. What's the difference in payment? $10? So wait a minute. So you want to go with the order taker because they're saving you $10 and they have no strategy. They're a paper pusher because 99% of these people are paper pushers. You give them a piece of paper, they put it into underwriting. Underwriting is going to look at the paper and decline you. You know what I'm saying? And that's it.
So a person should come to you instead of going to the credit union.
No, I'm not saying that. Go whatever floats your boat. You're going to have me like on camera saying that. No, you don't have to come to me. Don't come to me.
Okay, so I know you're being a bit modest right now, and you don't want to be recorded saying things.
I'm
but what are some?
Gangs on these. I don't
all
care.
right, but what are some like benefits of this particular?
I'm not talking about that.
No.
What's the benefits of them or me? Those are two different questions.
So you not with?
I'm MG, the mortgage guy. I am me. I am not them.
Okay.
The benefit of working with me versus anybody else is what you're getting right now, what you see every day on live. I talk strategy. I talk from an investor standpoint. I talk the shit that you want to hear. Go to Chase. Go talk to them.
Won't flow.
To the people, you
Yeah,
talking to us.
I'm you. I'm here like in jeans and a Walmart shirt. Like I don't care. Like this is just who I am.
That's a big difference.
One of them. I don't know. It's $10, and that's all I care about. I'm cheap. but like, why go to me? Listen, I get loans done. We close. I like to close loans. You know, you have direct access. I have a network. You know, everything is about who you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you looking for property in certain areas, I can plug you. I'm not gonna plug you with contractors now. But I can plug you with brokers. I can plug you with wholesalers. Like I can plug you with people where, you know, I know a lot of investors. A lot of their properties they're selling right now. Where when I speak to people, I'm looking at what my investors have to sell. It's off-market properties, so I don't even ask for money for that stuff. I just like matchmake. So it's a lot of advantages of working with me versus working with another loan officer. Fuck the banks. The banks don't matter. It's the loan officer. You can go to the same loan officer for my company and you won't get the same results. Period. It's just the person. How much power do they have at that bank? I'm vocal. The way I talk to you is how I talk to the CEO of mortgage. And she's my girl. She's a black lady too. She's cool. And the way I talk to the national sales director, the way I talk to my regional managers, the same way. When they come see me, You think I'm in a suit? No. I said, you want a shot? They'll tell you. Like, y'all came a long way. You must want a shot. But my voice matters. And I am like a wild African dog in here. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm aggressive, man. I want my shit done. I don't give a fuck. They always tell me, like, they'll tell you, like, I get on their goddamn nerves. Like, Alex and Benny hate me some days. I think they hate me this week too, but because I don't care. I'm like, yo, I want this shit done. I don't care. They call me with this. Yo, listen, man. What's the bottom line? Is it closing? Because I don't want to hear the middle. What is the result? Right? And that's all we are. As a loan officer, that is my only goal, results. The minutia, I don't care. If it's a problem, what's the solution? That's what we do. Why do you think Bendy could give you gems? Go to somebody else's and talk to their assistants. You'll hear what you get. Take my word for it.
Thank you.
Y'all looking at me crazy. But use whoever you want. I don't care.
She's really gonna rant about stuff.
I go on rant sometimes. Like, yo, Lamar will tell you, I ain't gonna say where he worked, but he can tell you how them is over there at his bank, at his organization. They're paper pushers. We don't push people. I don't believe in that. And you shouldn't want to work with nobody who's going to be a paper pusher. If you're trying to get into investing, if your realtor is not an investor, why the hell are you working with them? How many properties are they buying? She's an investor. How can they guide you on investing? And there's no knock to the new realtors because they knew they're coming in the game. But if your goal is to buy multiple properties, why are you working with people who don't own or have not owned multiple properties in their careers and have not went out there and done things, are not rolling in certain circles that can help you get further in your career?
But now, if Nadira is an investor and I want to use her, is she not going to show me the right property because she's looking at it?
Nadira, come answer that question for yourself. Because I already know the answer. I know. I keep like dragging you up and shit, but oh well. The floor is yours, girl. Go ahead, answer that question.
As your realtor, and especially, or any realtor, if you have a great realtor, their responsibility and what they feel comfortable doing and how they sleep at night is to make sure that you get the best property possible. Just because I'm showing you houses doesn't mean that in the back of my head, oh my God, I want that house too. I'm already doing what I'm doing. Now I'm showing you houses. Now I'm saying, you know what? When I was looking for my house, this right here fits your criteria. I saw it already. Let's go back again. I already networked with this person. I can show you, you know, this was done in the basement. I did this. I believe this fits your criteria. Most people, I mean, if your realtor isn't doing that, then you need a new realtor. Your realtor should be a person first. Just like how Matt stand here and he shoot the shit with you and he laughing and he, like, that's how your realtor should be. That's how your contractor should be. You should work with people who you feel comfortable. Once you purchase your house, you may want them over your house. Whether they come or not, totally different story. But you should work with people who you feel comfortable giving to someone else and who eventually online you can say, I'm sorry, I was chewing gum, I didn't think I was coming up here. Who you can say, this is my homegirl, this is my homeboy. If they feel comfortable putting you in that position, but everybody should be a potential friend. You get what I'm saying? Am I making sense? Yeah. Whether the two of you want to further that relationship is something totally different, but you should go out having a mindset, this person is cool. This person is this person is that, and that should be anybody, whether it's your contractor, your mortgage broker, your realtor, the people who you're talking to about real estate. Everyone should be in your corner.
That's a fact. The key to everything is building your financial superstar team. Contractor, mortgage person, realtor, insurance, you know, financial planner, tax planning, all of that shit goes together. So you should be interviewing all members and make sure you have a good relationship with them. Like anybody I deal with, I'm cool with. Like we can hang out, smoke some hookah, drink, have a good time. I want to go out with them too. Like I don't want to deal with people if I can't have a personal relationship because they're not going to really understand me as a person and what I really want to accomplish. Business is all about relationships, in my opinion.
I know you mentioned insurance a few times. So what
Homeowners
position
insurance?
does the insurance person play?
As far as homeowners insurance, you know, actually, I'm gonna call you up here because I haven't, and she didn't come prepared to talk either, but it doesn't matter.
All right.
So
What was the
talk-
question?
Ask my man again.
Talk about insurance.
Go ahead, Miss Ash.
Okay, so when it comes to your insurance policy, do not worry about numbers. That's your insurance agent's job to calculate your replacement costs, how much liability you need, and the way that we do that is by asking questions. We're gonna ask you tons and tons and tons of questions. The best thing that I can say for you guys and to put you guys in the best position as new homeowners is to ask about endorsements. I know somebody said how much money should you have when you're buying a house. So not to say that this is like a substitute, but you know, the insurance industry I think is really cool because they try to stay, you know, up to date with what's going on. They see claims and they're saying 5 years ago we wouldn't support that, we wouldn't pay for that, so now we have new endorsements. So boilers, when those go, they cost tons of money. Central AC units, when those go, they cost tons and tons of money. So ask about what endorsements that insurance company offers. What's another thing I want to say to y'all? Anybody buying condos?
I'm interested in one.
Like in a townhome?
Yeah.
Okay. So replacement cost is pretty important. When you're buying a single family house or even we call it detached structure, if it's a multi-family but it's not connected to anything, you need to make sure you have enough replacement costs for that house. That's going to look different from a condo or a townhome. A townhome, you're only responsible for, they call it walls in or studs in. Because when you have your association, and I think you were talking about bylaws, that dictates like everything. So the bylaws is going to say what you're responsible for as the owner. And usually, like I said, that's the walls in. So the condo insurance, you want to make sure that you have enough for all the permanent fixtures. So that's your countertops, your sinks, your flooring, drywall, all that type of stuff. Any other questions?
So for a house, like if you get like a let's just say 2 to 3 families and replacement, isn't there like a difference between the replacement insurance and standard or something to that effect? I heard there's a difference.
Not really.
It's higher and lower.
No, not really. Appraisals are pretty key because really it's what the number of kitchens and things that you have, the number of bathrooms. We have to look at the overall cost to rebuild.
Okay.
So, and don't get your appraisal and automatically assume what it's appraised at is what is it going to cost to actually rebuild the thing from the ground up. We are looking at if you had quartz countertops, granite countertops versus, you know, your builder's grade. All of that stuff is you know, going to be factored into your replacement cost. So people sometimes come to me with a house appraised for maybe $100,000, and I'm looking at the appraisal, I'm looking at all the materials, and I come back and say it's going to cost like twice that. Another factor into your replacement cost is demolition. That has to be, you know, that's a pretty hefty cost. That's several $1,000s, so we have to put that in there. And then to remove that debris, that also costs a lot of money as well. So replacement cost is more than just, you know, your appraisal or what you paid for it. It's another thing I'm like explaining over and over. And
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When should someone start looking for their homeowner's insurance? Like when should they actually start shopping for that?
Really, there's not too much legwork, I would say, for you. I would just say find a good agent. That's really going to make all the difference in, you know, you finding a good policy. Like me, I'm a broker. I work with over 30 different insurance companies, so I have a lot of different companies at my disposal. I can kind of do a one-stop shop for you. I'm looking at, you know, the best carriers. I'm trying to get you the best coverage for the lowest price. So it's not too much legwork on your end. I know as I'm working closely with you know, Matt, he's a lender. You may have DTI issues, so that's going to take a little bit more time on my end, but I can return quotes in an hour. I've been doing it for 10 years. It doesn't take long. But I'm going to be asking tons and tons of questions to get you the right coverage. Just like lending and, you know, saying how much you know, is your percentage going to come back at as far as your, what do you call it, your qualification? Yeah. Insurance is like, it's tailored to you. It's not a one-fits-all type of deal, so.
Any more insurance questions?
So the question that you said you're going to ask, is it based off of we already have the house or prior to?
No, prior to, because that's part of your closing costs is your insurance. So you're going to have that policy right before.
Yeah, so we need to have a copy. We need to have the binder probably like 3 or 4 days before closing, so that way we know. We'll probably say let's get a quote. 9 times out of 10, in all honesty, what we do is, Ashley, here's our buyer, give us a quote so that way we can move forward, and then we'll officially introduce you to Ashley probably more towards the end of the process. Most people.
I'm probably calling you before that though.
Yeah, she's probably gonna call you before
Yeah.
that, just because she's aggressive. She's a wild African dog too.
No, but I want to make sure that you're covered right. You know, when you're buying a house, there's tons of exposure. I have to make sure, do you have a dog? Do you have a trampoline? Do you have a pool? You know, all that type of stuff, because believe it or not, and that's something else I should bring up, exclusions. And if your insurance agent is not doing their due diligence and they, you know, talk about what their policy excludes, if something happens, they may not cover it. So we're all in the Northeast area, and these houses are old. Oil tanks are a big problem. And I think they may be changing the guidelines soon, but I cannot tell you. This one woman, she had, I don't think she went through the whole full inspection process, but they found an underground oil tank. So it was her responsibility after she purchased the house to have it excavated. That is, it's a lengthy process, it's an expensive process, and what happened was, when they took that oil tank out, it contaminated the soil. Not just her soil, her neighbor's soil. So now you have a liability issue. And I want to say 80% of homeowners policies automatically exclude oil tank coverage. So if you're not specifically disclosing that, or if your insurance agent is not, you know, thoroughly looking at the appraisal or asking you, is there any type of oil tank on the property, that can really fall on you at the end of the day. So it's like, you know, it has to be a conversation when you're getting your homeowner's insurance, for sure.
Yeah, insurance is key. Having the right insurance agent. So most people will go to the usual suspects, whoever you have your car with, or I'm not going to name them because they suck. I always recommend with insurance, an insurance broker, because especially like after, what was that, Katrina, a lot of these people, the prices are up, and most of y'all don't even realize. And then what they're doing is, in the initial, when you first buy a home, they'll quote you the bare minimum that the state will allow them, right? And then a year later, your insurance policy goes up by like $1,000. And you don't even know, because you'll just get an escrow analysis from the bank, and they'll tell you your payment went up by $200-300 a month because of your taxes or either your insurance, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting the right insurance from the beginning. Just don't always go with the lowest quote. Unless it's DTI issues, then you have no choice. Yeah. But for the most part, you want to make sure you're not underinsured, because a lot of these companies will just sit here and give you the state bare minimum, because it sounds good to you, but it's really not the true coverage. And in the year, it's going to go up anyway.
Yeah, so, and the way that the insurance companies kind of, you know, try to, because what they're doing is they're taking on you as a risk. And the bill, you know, the premiums that you pay, or the, you know, your bills that you pay each month is going towards, you know, their pot if you have a claim. So, and to ensure that you're telling the truth, they have inspections. So sometimes that inspection happens right when you do the policy, sometimes it'll happen down the line. Yeah. And if your insurance, you know, agent did not do the right thing in the beginning, your insurance could jump, you know, later, or they can basically, you know, deny you coverage because they found something on the property that, you know, they didn't know about.
Yeah,
so.
it wasn't disclosed.
Yeah.
And they don't do it, 9 times out of 10, they don't do the inspection right away. They'll wait until you're home.
And they do pop-ups.
And they'll pop up.
I don't know who they are or what they don't tell us.
Yeah.
They do pop-ups. I just get the little nasty notices sometimes, you know. We have a big agency, and they say, oh, there's this and that, you know, making those phone calls.
And you may think you're hiding, people think they're hiding things. The insurance people are gangster. They're out here moving like, they're serious. They're moving out here like cheetahs, man. They're in the trees, they jumping out of them. They're like, they're looking to see if you got a pool down there, dogs. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, I like animals. But they're crazy, man. I've seen people policies go up from $1,100 to $2,500, and they don't know why. But although that is escrowed into your monthly payment, remember, you are the CEO of your transaction. Just because you started off with an insurance company from day one don't mean you have to keep them. You can always fire them. You can't fire the property taxes because that's the town, right, and the state. But the insurance, you can always fire them. You just gotta let the bank know who's your new insurance carrier, and you have to make sure the mortgagee clause and everything is updated on the insurance policy and send it to the customer service with the lender, and then your payment will reflect that new insurance company. So although it's in, just make sure you always manage it, and also your taxes. Grieve your taxes, apply for programs, because the towns will always just raise your taxes, and if you don't grieve them, if you don't fight them, they'll just continue to go up and down, make your payment go up. All right, so any more insurance questions while we still got Ms. Ash up here? Tell them how to find you.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Earlier you mentioned that you should make sure, you know, you have a good agent, right? But if we're a first-time home buyer and you don't necessarily know that you have a, you know, wild African monkey.
Wow, African monkey, what's that?
So my thing is, if you're a first-time home buyer, right? And how would you know, like, you know what I mean? Hypothetically speaking, if you don't necessarily know you or Matt, how would you know, like, what type of agent you have? If they're not, like, asking you a million questions, or what are, like, red flags?
Well, I think that, you know, but when you meet people, you sometimes you have a feeling. You know how you feel when you walk away from. No, you know how you feel when you walk away from something. Sometimes I've had a new doctor, and I kind of felt like he didn't answer my questions, or I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel satisfied. But what I can say is that a good agent, they will ask you tons of questions. When they're explaining to you, did you understand that? Are you comfortable with that? Is there a certain price point, you know, that you're looking for? Okay. And then they say, so what's important to you in an insurance company? Like I said, I work with over 30 different companies. Do you want somebody that's good with their e-service? Do you want somebody that is, you know, picks up the phone constantly? Do you want a local presence so you can walk into the office and make your payments? I have all these different options, so I'm trying to figure out what works best for you. On top of that, I make it a point to check in with my clients every year because things change, and I don't think anybody's thinking to call an insurance agent like, you know, I upgraded my kitchen and don't realize they need an extra $50K to rebuild their house now. So it's kind of my job to check in with you and see what you're doing and what does your house look like today. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
People rehab all the time,
all the time,
and your policy, and you're not properly covered. I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That was an insurance gem.
And
I like that.
Another thing is try to maximize, you know, your discounts. There's, you know, tons of things out there. So any of your occupations, I see you have scrubs on. Medical field, huge. Government, huge. What else? Education. They usually offer discounts if you're in one of those professions. What else is there? Gym affiliation. So if you're working out, there could be benefits more than just looking good. The insurance companies, they're honoring that. Like if you go to like a retro, you know, per se, I know a couple of my companies actually will give you a discount for that. Wherever you have your home and auto, bundle it together. You always maximize savings that way as well. So
insurance gems. I like that. Any more questions for Ash while she's standing up? All right, insurance gems. Yeah, what can I find?
Oh, so my Instagram is Ms. Ash, MIZZASH _agent, AGENT.
Yo, put that in the comments. When you're back, you right? My bad. Lindy, can you put that in the comments, please?
MIZZASH _agent. I can't remember my Instagram. I'm gonna leave y'all some business cards, so don't worry about it.
I didn't remember that either.
Right in here. MIZZASH.
She's gonna put it in.
Agent. Gotcha.
Alright, so in the effort of time, right, because it's 9:55 right now, and we blew through a lot of information right now, so I want to get to a couple quick things, and then we can do more questions real quick. We touched about underwriting a little bit, but again, remember, underwriting's not your friend. They don't like you, they don't know you, they just look at loan numbers, black and white, don't make your shit hard. Most important thing with underwriting, do you credit qualify for the program, but most importantly, debt to income ratio. Simple way to calculate your debt to income ratio, we're looking at the monthly mortgage payment, which includes the taxes and insurance. If you have homeowners association fees or maintenance fees, that's included into your monthly mortgage payment, although you're paying it separately. Your minimum payments on your credit report, divide that by your gross income. That's how you come up with your debt to income ratio. So if your monthly minimum payments plus the new mortgage is $5,000 a month, and you're making $10,000 a month gross, that's a 50% debt to income ratio, right? Simple and easy way to figure out would you get approved or afford a loan, right? Or would it get approved from underwriting. You out?
Yeah, I don't want to be locked in.
You can go. Oh, you need the thing to get out. Ben, do you have one of those, the key card things to get out?
You know what, I'll walk around.
You can't even walk, Alex. What are you talking about? Alex, no. Just what the hell, Alex? Hold on.
Wait, I have my card.
You have the card?
Yeah, I got it.
Alright. Alex, now she can walk and she can stand.
Did she bring cards, Nadira?
Nadira, you got cards?
Yes, I do.
You have to just swipe it out?
No,
I've never done
the
this.
gate. You gotta go to the gate. You parked inside?
She did, yeah.
You parked inside? Yeah, so you gotta walk to, if the gate is closed, you gotta actually walk to the gate, and on the left-hand side where the security people are, it's a little black thing. You gotta just.
So if I leave now, I can walk them out now.
No, I need you.
I know.
You can't go, bad back and all. I don't care, baby, leave me alone. But you just gotta hit the little black thing, and then the gate will open, and then you're good.
Alright, let's go.
Bye. You have cards?
Yes, I left them right there.
Alright, so I give you guys some cards for Nadira, and y'all can holler at her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nadira, I appreciate you.
Anytime.
So that's how you calculate your debt to income ratio, minimum payments, like I said, on your credit report, your monthly mortgage payment divided by your gross income. 50% is kind of the rule, but think about it. If you're at 50% debt to income ratio, you're really at probably 75, 80% in real life. So just be aware of that. Underwriting process typically takes around 24 to 48 hours to get approved for a mortgage. Now with us, I don't believe in pre-approval letters. I think pre-approval letters are absolutely garbage. A pre-approval letter just means a loan officer, I should say, reviewed your credit, reviewed your income, and they ran it through an automated underwriting system. It's called Desktop Underwriter, and it probably said approve eligible, and then they gave you a pre-approval letter. But that Desktop Underwriting system is reading off the information that the loan officer put in. Doesn't mean the loan officer did the income properly. So when it goes to a physical underwriter, that underwriter can still decline your loan. So we all heard stories, people get pre-approved, they get pre-approved, and then they go into contract, they get declined. It's because the loan officer messed up somewhere, somehow. So what we like to do here.
Talk about overtime and
No,
bonuses.
I'm not going to. Should I?
Just mention.
Go
So say
ahead.
that.
Talk your
so
talk.
say in your pay stubs, right? It says that you make overtime. But then there's a verification of employment that we always do for your 2-year employment. And it comes back that you've only been getting overtime for the last year or 6 months. Then we'll have to deduct that from and that could mess up your deal. Because you have to have 2 years of it. That means commission sales, overtime, things like that nature, bonuses.
Keep going. What else? Go ahead.
No, I think that's it, really.
That's the main thing?
In terms of YOEs, yeah.
For underwriting.
In terms of income, yeah.
What else you want to talk about on underwriting? Because you deal with them more than me.
Well, sometimes I could ask a question.
Yeah.
So it would have to be like 2 years consistent of overtime, or?
2 years, yes, of
Okay.
consistent overtime.
But as long as it's like consistent and it's like.
In a year frame, right? It doesn't,
Yeah.
like say in 2017, you did $10,000 in overtime, but in 2018 you did none. Then
Yeah, you can't use the
that
time.
messes you up, right? If you did 5 and 5, then you'd use the average plus
Okay.
what you made this year.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be, it doesn't have to be like the same amount, it just has to be
It has
that
to
you've
be
been.
average out, like if you did 10, 20, then you go to
Right,
15.
exactly.
That's a big thing. Because people always go off of their year-to-date overtime, and they'll tell you, that's why pre-approval letters are garbage, because most people will articulate what they make to a loan officer, and the loan officer will believe it without verifying. That's why we look at 2 years of W-2s, we look at your pay stubs, because we want to see the breakdown of everything that you're getting. People include like, what they call like night differential, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's another big thing.
Or Saturdays or something.
Or Saturdays, like night differential, if you haven't been getting it for 2 years, we're not going to use it. So those are very important things that underwriters look for when they're underwriting your file, but most loan officers don't look that deep into your pay stubs to really break down. And honestly, when we pre-approve someone, we're not ordering verifications of employment on a loan officer level. That's done in the back office by underwriting and by the processing department. So that's why we submit all of our pre-approvals into underwriting to go through the underwriting process. That way we're getting verifications of employments and everything back. So that way if anything comes back that could be a problem, we know before you sign contract, and we can tell you, here's the problem, here's the solution, versus you're in contract and now we're telling you the problems and the solutions. Remember, underwriting's job is to decline you. Our job is to approve you, and one of the ways we make it easier to approve you, doesn't matter the loan program, 203K, VA, it doesn't matter, it's all the same process, right? We can submit all these loans no matter what program you're going through. If it's all under the conventional financing umbrella, we can put it through underwriting and make sure we don't have any issues by the time you go find a house, because issues do come up, and people, and on a loan officer level, unfortunately, because of fraud so rampant in our industry, they don't give us access to the tools. When you go into underwriting, consider it like a background check. So if you own property, if it's something that's foreclosed in your history, they're gonna find out. You may be on a deed of somebody's house that you may not consider your home. Guess what? It's your home. So now we gotta use the taxes and insurance. Let's just say you own 10% of that house. Well, we're gonna use 10% of that, or you own that house, and put that in part of your debt to income ratio. And most people never disclose, well, I'm on my mother's house, but I don't consider it my house. No, that's your house. You're an owner. Yeah. Deed is ownership. Mortgage is debt. Two different instruments. So I can be on all of your houses and not be on your mortgage and not put no money up, and I could be an owner of 15 properties. Deed is ownership. So underwriters, they look for that. Their background check. The technology today is crazy. Everything, shit, once you go to Facebook, your whole life is up for grabs, and we find out everything we need to know about somebody. So remember, underwriters want to decline, we want to approve. What's done in the dark will come out in the light. Disclose the stuff so we know from the very beginning, so that way we know. Most people still try to hide things. You can't hide in 2020. It's all technology. So that's really the main. Go ahead.
What about the title?
We're going to titles right now. So collateral, credit, and now title is part of the collateral. Now title is a very, 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 very tricky thing at times, right? The title report. Now, when you're buying a home in New York or Jersey, typically the attorneys will order the title report, right? Now the attorneys will review that title to make sure everything is clean. There's no permit issues, there's no CO, certificate of occupancy issues. They make sure all T's are crossed, all I's are dotted. If there are issues that have to do with the seller, the attorney is there to protect you, to make sure the seller clears up whatever they need to clear up prior to you purchasing that home, right? There's something that's called title insurance. Title insurance protects you, the buyer, and the bank, that any of the past owners, all their bad judgments, their liabilities does not pass on to you. Title insurance is something that is mandatory by the feds, that every deal must have title insurance on it. And I'm going to speak about closing costs too, right now too. So closing costs, the bank is always going to be the cheapest thing when it comes to closing costs. Most people always, remember I said 5%, right? We charge $12.95. That is not even like, in our price points, that's not even an eighth of a point in most cases, right? We're the least expensive part of the transaction is the bank. We make all our money in the back end when we sell loans, and that's a whole nother seminar, so I'm not going to get into that. But title fees, transfer taxes, the recording fees, you know, all of that stuff is all a part of your closing costs, right? So when we disclose a loan in the beginning, is why I always say overestimate, because the government holds us accountable on our initial disclosures to you. So if I tell you your closing costs are $20,000 on that initial loan estimate or LE, and let's just say by the time you get the closing disclosure or CD, then that closing cost is $30,000. But I disclose to you $25,000. That $5,000 you don't have to pay. We have to pay, right? Because we under disclose you. So you're not responsible. So when we disclose a loan with me and my team, we overestimate at all times. So when you see initial disclosures, if you do business with me, do not freak out if it's 6%. I'm protecting myself because I'm not trying, I like you all, but I ain't trying to pay $1 out of my pocket for any of y'all, right? But the title fees is what's always goes up and down, because we need to know who that title company is, what their fees are, what their junk fees are, because a lot of title companies will sit here and charge you an arm and a leg for reports that may cost $50. They may charge you $300. But that's why most people don't know they can shop for title or title fees. They always, when you hear in the industry, shop banks. No, you should be shopping title people too. Or ask your attorney, hey, who you order title to, can you give me a copy of what's called a title bill? That way you can kind of see the estimate. If you're going to buy 123 Main Street, you can get an idea of what those title fees will look like, and then you can kind of compare it to somebody else. So title fees are, title insurance is very important. You must have it. It's protection. It's just like homeowners insurance or life insurance. It just protects you and the bank. But the title fees, the recording fees, the transfer taxes, all of that makes up the bulk of your closing cost. Remember, you're escrowing your taxes and insurance too. Escrow is not a cost, but it's included into your closing costs, right? But it's not a cost. So if you had a program, like FHA doesn't allow you not to escrow, but if you do 20% down with a conventional loan, you don't have to pay your taxes and insurance in the mortgage payment. You can pay it on your own, and it's perfectly fine. But if the bank has to pay it, we have to set up what's called an escrow account. And that escrow account, if you got $10,000 in taxes, right? Let's just say we take 5 months of taxes. That's $5,000 right there. 12 months of insurance has to be paid up front. Did you mention that?
No, you guys dictate that usually.
Yeah, so 12 months of insurance always have to be paid up front, but we're still going to collect the monthly insurance
Like 3 months.
3 months up front. But when you make your mortgage payment every single month, we're still collecting that monthly insurance, because when that insurance is due next year, the bank is going to pay one-time payment for the insurance. You got that? All right. So escrow is not a closing cost, but it's included into your closing cost figures. That's what really bumps up that 5% number. So if you have cheaper taxes, then obviously you'll probably be closer to like 3.5%, 4%. But if you're in Long Island, New York, Jersey, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 in taxes, then you figure half of that is going to be escrowed and part of your closing fees from the very beginning. Question?
You about to take it to Georgia, man.
Take it to Georgia, get $2,000 a year in taxes?
Seriously.
Still too much.
It's still too much, right? Go ahead.
Can you talk about your program that you're launching next month?
Oh man, you've been trying to go there, man. Y'all been taking me on opportunity zones. Now you want to know about the program. All right, so I'm launching which one? Because I got like 18 things going on.
The membership stuff.
The membership one?
Yeah.
All right,
I know
so
that's what, right?
So the monthly membership club is next. It's going to launch that next month, and I'm going to be doing a lot of classes like this. It's going to be an online community. Listen, the real talk of it is, a lot of people on my Instagram are fakers, and it's time consuming going through 200, 300 DMs every single day and trying to answer everybody and giving energy, and then it's just fluff. It's like stupid questions you can Google. And it's just, people are just lazy. So I came up with this idea to deepen the lessons of home ownership, tax planning, insurance planning. If I start an online school, but I don't want to call it a school, that's why I'm just saying community right now. And if I can have all of these lessons, have classes every single week, every single month, have different lessons like 203K, right? You want to know more about 203K. I'll have a whole section on 203K video lessons. After those video lessons, there'll be a quiz after it. So that way now you're retaining the information. There'll be links a part of those lessons. So now you'll have links, you'll have slides, you'll have everything you need for that particular topic. Like when Ms. Ash comes and she wants to talk about our insurance and the tips, the tricks, the hacks, and all that other good stuff in the online community, there'll be a section featuring Ms. Ash, all the insurance gems and everything that you need to know. And it's going to be constantly updated with new information. As guidelines change, look, HUD came out, they're doing something different with condos, right? They're going to let condos, I posted that the other day. That will be a new lesson in the online community. So now, instead of you trying to figure out and Google what's going on here, let me just go here. And you'll have all the information. And before that announcement, that post would have came, hey, members, go to the site, all the information you need is there. And then the people that was like, membership, you gotta pay. So you can Google it too, but if you want it broken down in layman's terms, all the information is gonna be there. There's gonna be networking events. There's gonna be group economic opportunities. Right now, and if you're in my group chats and my DMs, anybody in my group chats? So if you're in my group chats, have you seen me passing around a form talking about if you want to invest and everything like that? So now I'm putting together a whole investment group. Where right now I think we have 65 people that say they're willing to put up $10,000 a piece, and then we're going to go out here and buy big multifamilies together. So that's another thing that I'm working on. Now the legal stuff behind it and the taxes and everything like that, like when I was coming here today, I was talking to my CPA about it. Like we're figuring out how to do everything like that. Once I have that figured out in the next week or two, then I'm going to call a meeting of the minds with everybody who registered. And then the first meeting, we're going to get on a conference call, all of us, and we're going to go through all terms, conditions, if you put up your money, everything like that. And then we're gonna go out, and I'm gonna control it. I'm gonna go out there, buy property, everything will be fully transparent, website, everything. You'll see exactly what's going on. You'll know your ROI, the whole 9 yards. But opportunities like that will be a part of the group membership. Instead of me putting it on my stories, it'll just be the opportunities in there. The online community will have like a basically like a big group chat, like a board. So now all of us are going to be like-minded people. Anybody who's paying $19.99 a month wants information, wants to invest, wants to deepen their career. So it's all like-minded people that's going to be there. It's not going to be nobody broke, right? $20 a month is Starbucks. So if you're really serious and you really want to grow and you really want to have access and mentorship, people ask me that shit all the time. Can you mentor me? No, I can't because I'm too busy. But hey, if you're part of my group, now I'm obligated for your $20. Now you get me and you get my entire team of professionals that will mentor you and help you. Because know why? Because they're going to want to get business from you. So now they know you're not full of shit, basically. You know you're part of this group. Okay, now I can put time and energy into work with you because time is money for all of us. We are wild African dogs. If we don't go hunt impalas and gazelles and zebras, we don't eat. Period. We wake up every morning trying to kill something. So the group is kind of my way of, if you followed me from January, and you'll know, like, I grew from 1,900 to almost 40,000 in 8 months, all organically, no purchase ads, no nothing, right? Just all organic content, engagement. My lives are always entertaining, to say the least, and it's always educational filled. In the beginning, I had so many people come on my lives and drop their gems. This community is just that on steroids. Where now instead of them come on live and they're talking about something, now it's going to be lessons. Like 1031 exchange, you'll have a whole lesson. What's the new updates? Tax law, something happened in taxes. Ms. Business, get in here and talk about this. And put a lesson together real quick so that way now everybody who's a part of this group can learn. So that's kind of the idea and thought behind it. And to make it affordable. I don't want to bang nobody out. I'm not looking for the money, the monthly membership. Now, if it gets to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, of course it adds up, it's great. But my goal is to make sure that I'm able to help as many people as possible with home ownership and protect their generational wealth, and we all get money together.
Do you have the form for me to sign up now?
I can text you the registration link because I just created that today because too many people asked me about it. So now I have a link that if you're interested, I can text it all to you. You can put your information in there, and finally when I get everything done, probably sometime in September, you'll be the first one to know. You'll get the email and you can sign up. It's a 1-year commitment. So I'm charging your ass for 1 year. Just let you know. Because it's a lot of, seriously, it's too much work to go into build this shit out. It's like, I actually regret that I even said it on live one day, and Toots was like, what are you doing? Why did you say that? And I'm like, I don't know. Patron. I don't know. I felt good about it. She's like, you ain't even got to finish yet. Why are you talking about it? I'm like, I don't care. But now I have to do it now. But I think it would be something that's great. Like other people do schools and stuff like that, but they charge an arm and a leg. $1,000 a year.
I spent at least well over $5,000.
Like for what? I had a girl in here the other day, I was talking about this in my live. She went to Fortune Builders. And they charge this girl $50,000.
I didn't go to that extreme.
Yes, 50 G's. They charge. They charge her 50 G's for nothing. She didn't buy nothing. It was just $50,000. You know what they get? Mentorship, templates, and Word docs. I said, what? Thank God she discovered me through Envy's page. Shout out to Envy. And she came to me, and she was in her 2-week grace period. And she came from Jersey. Shout out to all y'all from Jersey. Came from Jersey. Came here 3 days ago. And I'm talking to like this 24-year-old girl. And she got all of this money because I ain't going to tell her whole story, but it was part of a lawsuit, right? And it's sentimental. And it's like, if you hearing this young lady's story of how she got the money and she's telling you how she got the money, but you ain't going to take this girl's money. Like, come on, that's filthy, man. Like, we all trying to get some money and eating pilots and shit, but come on, bro. They're really, I don't give a fuck them. Because that shit is wrong, you know? You don't take 50 G's from a 24-year-old, like, come on. And you're not, it don't go to a property, it don't go to anything. It goes to their pocket for what? Mentorship? Come on, man. So my little 1999 sold. It's like, come on. You're gonna get more than mentorship. You're gonna have access to everybody that I rock with, and people that you haven't even seen on my gram yet, that just don't have social media, but are willing to come on this platform and teach about their expertise because they rather do it that way versus, they're a little old school, so they're not really with all this Instagram and social media stuff. Shit, I'm barely with all of it. I hate it sometimes.
What's your outreach to Jersey real estate agents?
I got plenty of them.
Plenty of them?
Yeah, Jersey, I'm good. Jersey's next door. That's like New York to me. So, New York, Jersey, I'm now nationwide.
Okay.
Literally. Like, I have brokers everywhere. You want to say something? I thought you ready to have my back.
Well, come to me if I do, but I don't want to be off topic. Like when you talk
We're
about...
already off topic. We're talking about Impalas and all types of ish today.
Nature is metal is what they call it?
Huh? What? You said a wild African monkey?
No, that IG stuff is Nature is Metal.
Oh, I love that. I love that page. It's another one too. I can't remember the name, but I love their pages. I'm into all of that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. The 2 or 3K loan, I think you had mentioned before, you can stay there in the property for a year. It's a multifamily unit.
Uh-huh.
And then say if you wanted to get another unit, how does that, what do you have to do with that process?
Oh, so you're talking house hacking now? Okay.
We touched a little bit.
So we off topic. All right. So house hacking is very simple. You buy a multifamily, 3 or 4 family with an FHA loan. If you buy it undervalued and you use a 2 or 3K, it's better to do it this way because it's easier to refinance out of the FHA because you'll have equity. And you'll be able to cash out refinance and go into a conventional loan, but you have to live in an FHA loan for a year. So you want to start the refinance process, just to make this simple, month 10 or 11, right? Of you being in an FHA loan, cash out refinance, close in month 12 or 13, go into the conventional loan. Now you have a little bit of cash. Now you can use that cash for your down payment on your next property, which will, let's just say it's a 3-family now. Now you're moving out of the 4-family and you're going into the 3-family. Now you can use FHA again, put down 3.5% because now the 3-family is going to be your primary residence. And then you just repeat it again.
But you just mentioned conventional.
You go into the conventional when you refinance.
You refinance, okay.
So you got, in order to use the FHA loan again, you have to refinance out of the FHA, the original FHA on the 4-family, and then go into the conventional. And live in it for a year. So first year FHA, you buy it, you rehab it with 2 or 3K, you live in it 12 months. Month 11, you start your refinance process to refinance into a conventional loan. You cash out refinance, you can only go up to 75% of the value on the cash out refinance, right? You take a little bit of equity out if you have that opportunity. Use that equity to now go buy your 3-family, 3.5% down, FHA, rehab it again, do the same cycle. 1 year later, refinance out of that FHA to another conventional, go to the duplex, use the FHA, and then by the time you get your single family, cash flow pays for the single family dream home. Conventional loans on those investment properties, now all the titles can go into your business name, but the debt will be in your personal name. Conventional allows, as long as you are 100% owner of that property, and that LLC, you can put the LLC into your conventional name once it's a true investment property. So now you're protected from a liability perspective. It's still on your personal debt to income ratio, but at least you have it in your business name. So if someone sues you, it's suing the business, you have 3 different LLCs.
And that's only for conventional, right?
Only for conventional lending. Slow process, right? That process to house hack, the 4-3-2-1 strategy, is the slow lane on the highway, right? Now, if you go to fast lane, that's the hard money, the asset-based lending. As long as you got your capital, DTIs, credit scores really don't matter too much. You can go and buy 10 properties in 1 year as long as you have that capital and that cash flow.
And more about the investment. You say you're going to do a second batch as well, right?
Investment classes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be for the membership though. Yeah. I did this, and I'll keep it real. I did this as a test. Like, I got LA next week. I was going to do a whole PowerPoint thing. Honestly, I'm too busy. I tried. I'm not structured. I'm gonna be honest. They get on me. They printed out some little notes for me.
It wastes my time.
Basically, because I really think
We try to structure them like
they try, but I can't follow this shit. I mean, looking at this, I'm looking at this the whole time, like the fuck. I'm just talking, right? And I'm just keeping it real. That's just not me. I can't do all this structure shit. I like it's structured in here to a certain point, and then I just like the flow, and then I look and I see. You have to look in your eye, okay, what you got to talk. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, that's how the learning begins. People, when I go to seminars, before I started doing what you guys see now in 2019, I go to seminars. I look at things. And I'm like, this shit is boring. I got ADD. I don't want to sit here. Like, I'm thinking about what can I do after this? I got to go. Like, my kids are calling me. Like, I just think it's just not, it's not fun. It's not engaging. People try to be too technical when you don't even understand it when you're being technical. So I just try to keep it raw and real and have fun with it. But the investment classes and everything like that, that's going to be all part of the private membership club. All my live streams that I did on YouTube, if you haven't noticed, I stopped doing those. Because I figured, why am I going to keep doing this on YouTube when I could just do it for my private community? Because now my YouTube is starting to grow, which is great, but then I get the stalkers on YouTube now. And that's cool, but I'd rather keep it kind of contained a little bit. That way I can have conversations that leads to business. I'm here to close deals. You can give out so much education and everything like that, but at some point, yo, when you gonna do something? People have analysis paralysis, and for me, I'm impatient sometimes, and I try my best to be as patient as I can, and I understand everybody has a time frame. There's a lot of people out here that they ain't got no intention on never doing anything. And they know it, but they try to phrase their questions like they are, and I could read through that, and then I just look at you like you're wasting my time, and then that's when I don't want to answer DMs. So I figured this is a way for me in the private community, if I do these type of classes, the people who want to learn, who are going to execute, will execute, and now it will be success stories, real success stories that can come out, and I can monitor it better of the success stories. Now, even if you don't use me, that's why I say I don't care if you use me or not. I don't promote. If you look on my Instagram, I don't tell y'all to come fuck with me. I say if you want to get pre-approved, go ahead. And thank God people are rocking with us. But I'm not pressuring, I'm not selling, I'm just educating. I'm giving you general information that you can go to any lender and you can go to them and say, yo, is this correct? I heard this, and they'll tell you, yeah, he's right. Everything I say. So use the information at your discretion and how you feel and make a decision and execute on something at the end. For the love of God. Buy something. And let's talk about this recession shit, right? Because that's probably going to come next, right? Because that's been the topic of today. Fuck the recession. Who cares? Stick to your plan. The recession, you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know the impact of what is going to happen. People keep saying, should I buy now or wait when prices go rock bottom in 2 years when the recession hits? You got a crystal ball I don't know about? There's no crystal ball. You got to think about the last recession really happened because of the mortgage debt. People were getting 100% financing with a 500 credit score with no job and no verified documentation. Think about this.
Crazy, right?
So now when you were able, you got to think about it. When did Instagram come out? 2005? Facebook 2005? All these mortgages prior to 2005, there was no technology. When did Google come? 2003? So think about all the mortgages with no technology available. Shit, the internet just came 98 or something like that. So there was no technology. People were taking, and I was one of them. I took full advantage, buying 4 houses at one time, all your primary residence. Who didn't do that? Because there was no way for the banks to check to see if you had another applications at this bank or this bank or this bank, and then all 100% financing. So when the market crashed, it's because the mortgages went bad. They were all adjustable rates. There were 30-year fixes. There was FHA, but no, who the hell wants to do an FHA and I gotta give you my blood type with all this documentation when I can go a point higher interest rate and not give them nothing and get 100% financing? Where do you think you're gonna go? You're going 100% financing with no docs. I take that all day and close in 10 days. Fuck your FHA loan and your Fannie Mae. Nobody cares about that. Nobody was doing that except for, the different type of crowd people. Certain people, as my girl Asia said, inside of the palm, they would go do that because they knew better, do their documentation, put more money down, and do what they have to do. Most people didn't do that. So the market crashed, and it was a big hit to the economy because you had all this debt. Remember, mortgages are traded as bonds on Wall Street. So think about when the market crashed, the stock market went down. Because why? The bonds, all that paper that was A paper and rated A paper was really DEF paper. And now people are not paying their mortgages. Guess what? Investors are now not making money. So that's why the market crashed. The Big Short. You ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Watch that movie. The Big Short. That's your homework.
The Big Short?
The Big Short.
Oh, short.
The movie. Amazing fucking movie. It tells you everything that happened with this mortgage market in the crash in 2007. And if you watch that movie, you understand. I'm telling you, you watch this, you're like, oh shit, this guy was right. You will understand why, if there is a recession now, it won't be as impactful as that, because now people have to do what? Qualify. People have jobs. We're ratifying that. We're looking at your W-2s. We want your firstborn. We want your blood type. We want everything. We want your left shoe if we want it. Give it to us. Fuck you. Right? You want this $300,000? Give me your left shoe. Then, no. Do you. So that's why when people talk about this recession, I just look at them like they don't know. They're listening to all these pundits. Everybody's, it's scare tactics. I don't even watch the news no more because it's all biased. Me personally, I think it's all man-made. If you want to know my opinion. But that's why I say fuck the recession. Who cares? Stick to your plan. Buy smart. Don't over leverage yourself. Save your money. I was telling you guys today. What did I tell you about the rent? If you get a rental property, what should you do with the rental money? Save it for at least 12 months. At least 12 months. Save it. Why? Because if there is a recession, who's going to be impacted? Your tenants. Right. Your tenants. So what's going to happen? They're not going to pay you. So what should you have? Reserves. Reserves. So many people want to take their monies that they're making, and yeah, we all live by the word assets pay for your liabilities, but you got to know when to use that money to pay for your liabilities. You got to save it. So don't worry about the recession. Cash flow is your bulletproof for the recession. Whether you invest in real estate, stocks, bonds, anything that can give you passive income, that is your bulletproof vest for the recession. So if it does happen, great, I'm prepared. If it doesn't happen, great, I'm prepared. Who gives a fuck? I don't care about a recession. Doesn't mean nothing to me. I'm gonna keep going with my game plan. I'm gonna keep my head down and be smart about everything that I do and be disciplined to the best of my ability. It's hard, very hard for all of us, but you just gotta do the best you can. And don't bite off more than you chew. Your eyes can't be bigger than your stomach. You can't go out there and buy 4 houses at once if you know your DTI is 50% on every house. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure. You don't need 10 houses. You don't need 750 doors like Caesar has. You don't need 150 doors like Envy. These guys are multi-millionaires. You can't be them. It's different. They have a different type of money. When you have that type of money, it's different. You can do whatever you want. If you're an everyday person, you don't need to build a crazy ass portfolio. You just need to build enough to bring in enough passive income to where you're comfortable and stack your bread. Because if it is a recession, whoa, there's going to be blood in the streets. And the hyenas are coming out then, and the vultures. So you better be a vulture, a hyena, everything you need to pick up the scraps, because it's going to be deals. Because a lot of people are over leveraging themselves. They BRRRR or 432 themselves to death, and they over leverage. They got max rent. They want top of the market rent payments. Nah, you got to be a little bit below. If the market says 25, I give you 20. Give me 2250, 2300. You know, I don't have to be trying to have to work with you, because I want you to do what? Pay. Right. So if the recession does happen, you know what? You're already at below market rent. So I don't need to lower you down because it's already comfortable. Because I'm already thinking ahead of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but not everybody's going to live by that. Most people want the max. But you got to make that decision. You got to make that decision for what's best for you and all of you. You're a CEO of your own transaction. No one else. Make your own decisions. All right, y'all good? Yeah. You got more?
Yeah, I got one more. So the best way to find, like, don't even go on Trulia and Zillow and all that, right?
I like Trulia. I like Zillow sometimes. I like
It's
looking
like
at.
to peruse, I feel like.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes.
like, yeah, look at peruse, but if you're serious about it, you need a realtor.
Yeah, because the taxes and stuff half the time aren't
Aren't
correct. on
correct.
Zillow.
Yeah, they just took the words out of my mouth. Zillow, take with a grain of salt. Go to auction.com. Go to sites like that if you're looking at undervalued properties. You got to pick your lane. Turnkey or rehab, full rehabs, right? Investor style buying, or you know what? Turnkey. Pick your lane, and then you got the whatever you want to do, you can do in 2020. I keep saying 2020, 2019. Oh, it's 2020. Almost. So whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, you can be. Yeah, I mean, but whatever it is, it's like this. The technology is whatever lane you want. Retail, you want turkey, great. You have 1,001 websites. You want investment style, you want to buy like Caesar and them, great. You got foreclosure auctions, you got tax auctions, you got auction.com, Zoomy, you got all these things. You want to buy big ass multifamilies like me? Hey, I want to go and then go to loopnet.com. I live on loopnet.com, right? That's my favorite website besides YouTube and the animals, right? Because I'm always looking at apartment buildings and mixed use properties and things of that nature. I'm looking at bigger deals or bigger units because it gets more ROI. Right? So you just gotta pick your lane of whatever you feel.
Can you use the FHA on foreclosure?
Yeah. Yeah, you can use
But on the sites, it tells you that it's only cash.
Yeah,
or
cash.
because that's the, if you're looking at auction.com, remember those are probably foreclosures already, and the asset managers determine what type of financing, if any financing, they're going to allow. Because when anybody hears FHA, they automatically assume first time home buyer. It's going to take longer than what we want. We want to close in 2 to 3 weeks, right? So that's why you'll see cash or conventional, or cash hard money or conventional, or some of them will say 2 or 3K is allowed. It just really all depends on asset manager.
just cash and
I mean, if it's cash, that's hard money and cash line up the same way. So sometimes when they say cash, they'll go hard money. So you may have to go hard money on this deal just to get it and refinance out of the hard money and then go into a conventional or FHA loan.
or refinance. Okay.
You can always use that as every mortgage is a tool, right? A mortgage is either two things. It's a burden or liability, or it's a wealth building tool. It's the only two lanes you have with a mortgage. So if you want to be a burden and liability, great. Some people don't want to do anything in real estate. They just want their picket fence in their backyard for barbecues and bar mitzvahs. Great. That's a liability, right? It can be a burden on those people. Some people want to use it as a tool to build more wealth and acquire more properties. It don't matter what tool you use. You just got to use one of them, because if you don't have the all cash to buy a property, use whatever tools at your disposal. Like you was asking me, what's the best loan? I don't fucking know. It depends on the property and the situation. Because there's so many tools out here. When someone goes build a house, they don't just use a hammer. They may use a jackhammer. You know what I'm saying? Or a sledgehammer. Who knows? But not like a regular hammer for nails. You just gotta pick whatever tool is best for you. You got it? Are you good? Are you clapping up? I'm ready. Are we good? Hold on. What time is it? Let me make sure I got hold on. First of all,
I'm not rushing.
are we 10:30? Yeah, we way overboard. So we went to everything. All right. So listen, we went over title. We went over underwriting. Y'all understand title reports? Go home. We might have a shot.
I want to buy that home so I can go to.
Oh, you hear that? Okay. So do you get? Is after you sign the contract, you start doing the titles and all that stuff?
So after you, all right. So
Okay,
the
so
process.
let's
Let's go through the process, right? Your mindset is number one. All right. After your mindset, figure out your budget, what you can afford, what's your route, investor route, which buying at the auctions, or you want to go turnkey route, right? You got to figure all that before you come to any bank, because you got to know which bank you need to go to now, right? So figure out your lane, figure out your mindset. Then you get pre-approved. And if you're going with conventional type financing, FHA, VA, make sure whatever lender you choose, they have the ability to submit that into that pre-approval into underwriting, so that way you're just not getting a pre-approval letter, you're getting an actual loan commitment. Because once you get that loan commitment, you know everything you need to close for that deal. Now, once you have that, you go out and shop, you find your house, make sure you have your interview. If you're going rehab route, interview your contractors. Make sure you're interviewing your attorneys. Make sure you interview your realtors. All of that's all in the beginning stages, right? You go out with your realtor, you find your house, you make an offer, it gets accepted. In New York, you do a home inspection first, and then if the home inspection comes back clean, then you go sign contract. In Jersey, you put in your offer, it gets accepted, then you go into attorney review. And then attorney review can be 7 days, can be 14 days. I have some attorney reviews go for 30 days because you're going back and forth with the seller about whatever you're going back and forth about. Then after it gets into attorney review, out of attorney review, then you order your home inspection in Jersey. And then once that home inspection comes back to your liking, and then you basically are now in a full executed contract. In New York is different. Home inspection first, buyer, seller sign contract, fully executed contract. Then you submit that to the lender. Now the lender, if you came to someone like me who already got the pre-commitment, we already know what you need to close. We already have the information. So now it's a streamlined process for us. We submit that loan back to underwriter because it's the same underwriter that we had from the very beginning when we had you in pre-approval stage. They already know your loan. They know everything about you. We submit everything that they want. And then at the same time now we're going to order the appraisal and your attorney's going to order the title. Both of those items take like 2 weeks for us to get back. So during this process, we're underwriting. The underwriter will come back with the updated loan commitment. On the loan commitment, it'll have the property address on it. We give you a copy of that. You give it to your attorney. The sellers know you have a loan commitment. They know the deal is official because you have financing in place. Now you can't back out, right? You met your mortgage contingency clause. A mortgage contingency is a clause that basically states if you get declined on a loan, then you can get your money back. But once you submit that that loan commitment, the contingency period is now met. So you can't back out. If you back out, you lose your down payment. If you even get declined at this point, you can't back out because you already issued that loan commitment. So some attorneys won't even submit the loan commitment to the seller to the very end.
So how can you get denied at that point?
Shit happens.
You lose your job.
You lose your job.
You decide not to listen to us and
You
co-sign for your cousin's student loan.
Basically, you committed fraud and gave me fake W-2s and we find out now. You don't make this money. Shit happens, right? Anything can happen. But what we usually see, somebody co-signs for somebody and it just messes up everything. Or they own a house that they didn't disclose to us because they didn't think it was on the deed, and now their debt to income ratio is higher because now we have to include those taxes and insurance. But we're going to talk about if everything is clean, right? Just to go through the process. So once you go through the underwriting process, we get the title back, we get the appraisal back. If the title and the appraisal is clean, it gets submitted back to the underwriter. They review everything, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, make sure everything is where it needs to be. And now you are clear to close. Now you can go ahead, set up the closing date. You'll get your final closing disclosure. With the closing disclosure, will show you all the final fees, how much you need to bring the closing. And then from there, you go to the closing table. Congratulations, you're a homeowner. That's all the steps. Simple, right? It's not rocket science.
So by the 15th would be best to close, huh?
No.
After or before?
If you close, remember, when you close whenever, right? Because you don't want to delay a closing because you're trying to time out when your first payment is due because anything can happen in the guidelines. Remember, you're not safe until you close on the house.
Yeah.
If guidelines change, now what we have to do, we have to re-underwrite every file that may be affected by those changes in the guidelines. That can decline your loan too.
Oh, shit.
Anything can happen. Mortgage business changes left and right, all over the place. Every day there's a new guidelines, there's a new regulation, there's something that we have to adhere to. So you ain't safe until you go. A pre-approval letter don't mean nothing. If you went 2 or 3 months and you haven't found nothing, you need to get your pre-approval updated. Like, hey, check in. Has anything changed that will affect my down payment? Did interest rates go lower? Did they go higher? What will affect my pre-approval, right? So you want to find out those things from your lender, whoever you work with. But in the grand scheme of things, those are the steps. You meet those steps. Then you go to the closing table. Congratulations, you're a homeowner, and now you're in debt. Welcome to the dark side of homeownership.
Good debt.
Good debt. Mortgage is good debt. It's tax deductible. It's good debt. It's a wealth building tool, or it's a burden or a liability. Pick your poison. All right? Any questions? I think we've passed our time now. We good though?
Yes.
Alright, so that's it. That's all I got for y'all live stream people. This was longer than expected. Thank you, Miss Ash. Thank you, all the sponsors. Black and Pocket, shout out to you. Shout out to Earn Malaysia. Sabine, the Purpose Lawyer, hit her up. My girl Nadira from Diamond Mine Real Estate. And Miss Ash, the agent. Thank you very much. And Bindi and Alex for making your cameos too. I appreciate y'all. Alright, so that's it. Toots, cut us off.
Thank you.
Peace out, live stream. I need a shot now.
Could you refill my cup?